all the words of my mouth are just...
Shut up.
None of them is crooked or perverse. Oh, should I be doing the intro instead?
Yes, you should be doing the intro.
Got my memorizations tangled up, that's all it is.
Yeah,
Easily done.
Whatever. Blah, blah, blah. You're a witch.
Welcome to Don't Scare the Newbies, a podcast where we talk kink, raw and unfiltered. I'm Kirizal, a lifestyle submissive in a 24/7 dynamic who likes their kink heavy, intense, and scary.
And I'm S, the interrogation winning dominant who knows how to deliver all of the above.
And today we are going to be talking about our second interrogation, the witch trial.
Oh, yes. Witch.
Oh, yes.
So it's really good timing that we're doing this episode this week, but also will potentially provide listeners with a little bit of whiplash.
Just a bit, yeah.
Because on last week's episode, we talked to Sunshine and Honeypot, who talked to us about gamification and role-playing in kink, and they talked about their dynamic, which is really heavily influenced by both of those things. And it was amazing. It was really, really interesting. We recorded it in early June,
yeah, mate.
I think. And at the time, as listeners will remember from last week, we said, that sounds amazing. It's really interesting and really kind of great. But we're not really sure whether we could sustain that kind of role-playing, you know, and doing kink as someone else.
Yeah.
So anyway, this week, we're going to talk about an interrogation, which was entirely built around a really detailed role-play.
With two entirely fictional characters that we created,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to really fuck with people's heads.
And that episode was definitely an inspiration. We'd already started talking in very vague terms about doing a witch trial scene and had been talking for the last year and a bit about wanting to do another interrogation. But I don't think either of us quite anticipated how much of its own thing it would become.
Yeah.
And how much we would end up putting into our characters and even thinking about sort of the world that they lived in. And talking to Sunshine and Honeypot made that process so much easier and made us both, I think, feel a lot braver about tackling that and being willing to lean into the silly moments and accept that there would be moments that would be cringe and that we might forget things that we had learned and all of that and just running with it. And we did.
And it was amazing. And I won.
You won.
I won. There are spoilers. I am not waiting until the end of the episode to tell people whether we won. I won.
And you deserve to win, absolutely. For how much you stepped out of your comfort zone to do this scene, for how much preparation you put in. And I put a lot of preparation in as well, and it was scary for me as well, but I think it was a lot more challenging for you in a lot of ways. And the things that you did to me, like, I am not ashamed to have lost in those circumstances. Yeah. I think that is the kind of torture most people would break under, and I'm proud of how long I held out.
Yes, I think you should be. I was very proud of you as well. I was a little bit surprised. I thought, given how fucking stubborn you are, I was bracing myself for a very long day, but equally not surprised that you confess when you did, because I was fucking brutal to you.
Yeah, you were.
It was it's quite disturbing watching the videos.
I think it's really hot. I think that says a lot about me.
I was there. I did those things. I am in the video doing those things, and even I'm watching it going, oh Jesus. Like, holy shit.
It's so funny for me, like, watching stuff like that back, because in the moment, interrogation play for me, the two times we've done it at least, it hasn't been sexual play. It's just too intense to be a turn on for me in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's a very different headspace where it very much is me at war with you. It's a challenge. It's like playing a video game against your partner, you know, when you play Mario Kart with your partner and you cackle with glee when you hit them with a blue shell. Yeah. It's like that, but weirder. So it's not a particularly sexual kind of play for me, but looking back at pictures and videos of you doing that stuff to me and seeing you in full-on terrifying sadist mode and looking just like so angry and intimidating and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, that does something for me. So it's hotter after the fact than it is in the moment. In the moment, it's just, I'm locked in, I'm in it.
Yeah, that's fair. And there is an element of that for me as well, like the other way around. I'm not looking at myself going, oh yeah, that's really hot. Obviously, I enjoy seeing you suffer, and that is the most that you have suffered in my presence.
It really is.
Um,
And you say that you don't look at yourself going, oh yeah, I'm hot. I kind of do a little bit in that. Like, I feel just the prettiest ever when I'm screaming and crying. That is just... I was looking through the pictures and I was like, oh my god. Like, for a start, the filler is popping. Like, the filler overpowers everything else. But also, I've got these, like, blushy red cheeks from being slapped around, and I'm doing these intense facial expressions. And there's some way you can see I'm really defiant. I'm, like, making eye contact with you.
Yeah.
Do what you fucking want. Acting a lot tougher than I was feeling.
Yeah.
And it's like...
Usually before you were going to spit at me.
Yeah, I did spit at you a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like the most badass I've ever looked. And then
Yeah,
the most suffering I've ever done. And it's just like, love this. I feel hot. You are hot. Everything is hot.
That's fair. That's fair. That's totally valid to look at yourself and think that you're hot. That is just not how my brain works.
Not a thing that you do.
Not a thing that I do. No.
I will teach you to learn.
No. I'm comfortable with that.
Fair.
You know, I'm comfortable with looking at myself in the mirror and going, yeah, you look all right. But I think because it's a little bit scary to see yourself like that.
I can understand that from your side of things, yeah. I think some of it is because you are just generally mean to yourself, but I can also imagine if I saw myself screaming in someone's face and beating them with a whip, I might be like, oh, kirizal, what you doing?
Yeah, there is a little bit of that to it where you look at it and go, yikes, I really did that, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
But anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We should go back to the beginning and talk a little bit about how the witch trial came about.
Yeah. So this one was one of my ideas initially, which I'm very proud of.
Yes.
So this all started, just like the last interrogation happened because I'd been reading 1984. This one happened because I'd been reading Slewfoot, which is a brilliant folk horror novel about a woman who, spoiler alert, ends up getting accused of witchcraft. But there's like forest spirits in it and cool like nature gods, and it's a really good book. It's a really, really good book, and it made me cry multiple times. But because of who I am as a person, there's a witch trial scene in it, and I was a little bit flustered. Felt very sorry for the character, lots of empathy, love her to bits, but I was like, but if I could just squeeze in there.
Yeah.
So that's when my brain started whirring, but I wasn't sure how we would pull it off. It immediately felt like a good fit for the kinky camping trip that we go to.
Yeah.
Because it's out in the woods, it's away from a lot of modern technology. We've got our phones and we've got our little camping stove and thing, but you know, it's a lot more disconnected from technology than we normally are.
Yeah.
So it would lend itself to a very different style of interrogation than the last interrogation we did that was very based on a lot of technology, using lights and projectors and sounds and cameras and all of that stuff. So it felt like a perfect fit for that, but it also felt like a scene that would require a bit of role play. And that would require us to be creative in different ways because we couldn't rely on having sort of fine control over the environment as much.
Yeah.
So it kind of sat in the back of my head for a little bit as an idea until we did that episode with Sunshine and Honeypot. And that's when I was like, actually, we could probably do that. And it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I pitched it to you in the full fantasy mode of what was in my head, where I had this vision of me being marched through the campsite, surrounded by a crowd of like hundreds of people, all booing and jeering and yelling accusations at me, and you whipping up the crowd into a frenzy as the witch finder, going, who has an accusation for the witch? And me having all my clothes ripped off in public and being beaten and being humiliated and being inspected and then tortured. And I was like, yeah. And I came to you with this, like, so we're going to do a tamer version of this. I'm going to present this to them, and they're going to go, straight away, we're going to find a private location.
Yep.
If you want a booing and jeering crowd, we maybe recruit 2 friends to be there for 5 minutes at the beginning of the scene, and then we send them away. You know, I was expecting you to, like, strip it right down to something that was more comfortable, and you really surprised me by saying, actually, yeah, we could do that in the central hub area.
Yeah.
We can ask around, we can try to get a few more people involved, we can do this as a very public scene.
Yeah.
And you also embrace the roleplay elements of it, with being like, yeah, it's not just me, torturing kirizal and calling them a witch. We kind of need to step outside ourselves a little bit because kirizal is a witch. I'm a practicing pagan.
Yeah.
So there wouldn't have been any mystery to you. It would have been just a case of trying to get me to confess something you already knew.
Yeah.
Where one of the things we agreed really early on is you wouldn't know going into it whether I was a witch that you had successfully identified, or whether this was a case of sort of religious paranoia where you thought I was a witch and I was actually this innocent, falsely accused person.
Yeah.
I made that decision early on which of those things I was going to be, but you had no idea.
I had no idea. No.
You had to find that out the hard way.
Yes. And I did.
And you did.
If I haven't mentioned already.
So obviously listeners will have heard some of the planning of that. We'd had a kind of preliminary conversation about that before we recorded our planning for public play episode, where we'd agreed we were going to do a witch trial, but we hadn't gone into any of the detail. We deliberately saved that for that episode.
Yeah.
And on that episode we planned all of the scenes that we wanted to do on our kinky camping trip, and obviously that was the big one. And then we had 2 more in-depth negotiation sessions about that, where we came together to talk about what we were going to do. The first one of those was really about sort of the timeline and choreography of the scene, what location we would be in for each stage of the process, and what events needed to happen at each of the 3 locations we used.
Yep.
Because there was the elements that were going to happen at the campsite where I was first accused and arrested. There was going to be the then sort of public crowd work section where I was inspected, at least partially inspected for evidence, and was accused, and where you would invite accusations from other people. And then I would be taken on my walk of shame up into the woods.
Yeah. Walked into the woods.
Yeah. Where the actual torture and interrogation elements would come into play.
Yeah.
And then we also agreed that it was going to finish off with me being symbolically burned as a witch by receiving a brand of the word witch.
Yes.
Which would happen back at the central area, largely because of not being allowed to do anything that generates heat in the woods due to the current hot weather.
Yeah.
Would have been a fire risk, so the branding had to happen somewhere safe.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was our second negotiation session, was really hashing out all the details of each of those steps. Not the details of exactly what you would do to me in them or what my strategy would be to outlast it, but which key events had to be fitted in.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the things that I kind of kept coming back to in that slightly overthinking way that I do, is trying to work out what was going to happen where, trying to make sure we do things in the right order, in the right places. So I kept going back and forth on, or does the inspection happen at the tent because that's where the accusation is being made, or does it happen at the hub because that's the public humiliation part of it, or does it happen up at the interrogation as part of asking questions? And there was always that kind of little overlap in my head kind of thing of, well, how do I work in those set piece bits that we already knew about with the things that I'm going to do to you as part of the scene that you didn't necessarily know about?
Yeah.
And there was some of it that you did. So, for example, nettle stuffing was something that we talked about.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so is that just something I do to torture them? Or is that part of, could you work that into kind of an inspection kind of thing?
Yeah.
So like using the speculum to open you up and then shoving. So I ended up in this weird little feedback loop in my head of trying to piece it all together. So like talking it through with you, that second time in particular was really helpful to map that out.
And one of the things I tried to remind you of in that conversation is it's okay for you to deviate from that as long as we hit those 3 locations in an order that we've agreed. And as long as all of the important stuff that we want to fit in as best we can is fitted in.
Yeah.
Go nuts. And there was an element of that. You did sort of, when you first arrested me, you found some evidence in the tent. So that was part of your evidence against me. You did a partial inspection of me in the hub, and then continued to inspect me during the interrogation, and didn't find all the clues. It was great, but yeah, you did sort of take that a little bit more freeform, and it worked. And then our third big negotiation session was character work. So by this point, we'd both gone away and done a lot of planning on our own because we both needed to plan our strategy and keep a lot private from each other. But we had developed our characters and had talked about them a little bit, but needed to make sure that they were aligned. There were definitely things that you didn't know about my character, Chastity, because Jeffiniah, her Witchfinder fiance, didn't know those things about her. But there were things that Jeffiniah should know, and I needed to make sure that you knew them. so that
Yeah.
you wouldn't say something that contradicted with that and would cause like a weird buffering moment where we had a different expectation of where the conversation was going.
Yeah.
So we talked about Jeffiniah and Chastity's relationship, what Jeffiniah would know about Chastity's history, what sort of they were doing on their camping trip together, a little bit about the setting of the world that they were in. You know, we agreed quite early on we were not aiming for perfect, historically accurate 1600s.
Yeah.
These were essentially modern people, but with sort of an old-fashioned twist to kind of how they interacted and the way
Yeah.
that they moved through the world. So we weren't trying to use perfect, historically accurate language, but we also weren't quite speaking like normal modern English either. There was a lot of like, I cannot,
Yeah.
and such things.
Yeah, it was definitely, we definitely had a different voice, didn't we?
Yeah.
Not just like the sound of it, but like the way that we spoke to each other.
Yeah.
Was quite different. It was a little bit like vaguely old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like people who've done absolutely zero research and know nothing about history pretending they're in the 1600s. That was
Yeah.
what we were doing.
yeah.
And we just
basically.
fully embraced that. We were never trying to make a documentary here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not a historically accurate representation of the Pendle witch trials.
No.
Which is good, because I did not do that level of research.
No, neither did I. I used my time very differently. So those were the 3 bits of planning that we did together, the main bits of planning. And there were lots of little casual conversations in there where I would say, hey, you could do this. And you would go, hey, would this be okay? This is kind of close to your limits, but it's not crossing a limit. And things like that, bouncing ideas around. But those were the 3 big conversations. But we did a lot of work separately. So I'm quite interested to hear about what your process was like behind the scenes then, because there's a lot that I think I don't know still about what you did.
Yeah, and this is where I feel a little bit bad, because you did a lot more research and preparation than I did.
I did very little research, but I did a lot of insane preparation.
That is true. That's fair. I mean, I think my character Jeffiniah, I think, was fairly straightforward. Like, in my head, he was very religious, but also very angry and very paranoid.
Yeah.
Being a witch finder does not have a good effect on anyone's mental health, was my kind of take on it. So, yeah, really quite paranoid about the world, seeing devilry everywhere, and that had made him quite angry as a person. And that's why he interrogates the way that he does. So my overarching strategy going into specifically for the interrogation part is overwhelming physical abuse.
Yeah.
That was basically my strategy. High intensity, almost constant, physical impact on you of different types was basically how I saw my route to winning the interrogation, and kind of that fitted with that vibe of the kind of person who I thought a witch finder would be.
Yeah. Like a witch finder with burnout, it sounds like, is kind of the vibe you're going for.
Yeah.
Which seems like they would be even worse.
Yeah.
Because they are just fucking done with the world and just want to hit stuff.
Yeah. And almost that resentment that the one person that he loves is probably a witch.
Yeah.
So kind of all of that stuff together of being a witch finder is bad enough, and has had a negative effect on Jeffiniah. But then to discover that the one safe space that he's got is also the very thing that he spends his life battling against.
Yeah. Betrayal is one of the hottest concepts to me. I get off on betrayal so much, and it was such a mutual betrayal. That scene, because you'd found out that the one person you loved was a witch, or was potentially a witch.
Yeah.
And I was being tortured by the one person I loved, and it was just love that.
Yeah. So that was kind of the thinking behind Jeffiniah. Although I came up with the name really late.
Yeah.
Like literally 2 days before. I hadn't gotten, because you came up with the name really early.
Not super early, but it was a couple of weeks before, I think. Yeah, mix.
Yeah,
and then you were debating whether you even needed a name, or whether you were just basically going to be you.
Yeah.
But then we talked about one of the safety features we built in is we didn't want to have any sort of like out for me in the scene other than confessing.
Yeah.
But we acknowledged there might be times when I might need to communicate something to you urgently, you know, like if I was getting a cramp, or if something unsafe was happening, or if I was struggling to handle something specific but I really didn't want to wrap up yet, kind of things.
Yeah.
A way to get your attention. So we agreed using each other's real name would be a like pause for a sec, we need to talk.
Yeah.
So you needed then something for me to call you that wasn't your real name.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't going to be using protocol in the scene, so I wouldn't have addressed you as Mix.
No.
So that's when you came up with Jeffiniah.
Yeah. I think that was partly it. I think partly it had just gone out of my head.
Yeah.
That I needed a name, and it's really weird thinking back on it that if you're wanting to know who the character is, you need to give them a name.
Yeah.
And it didn't occur to me that was important. Might have made my life a little bit easier if it had. But yeah, came up with it like literally 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
before the scene. And it worked. I think Jeffiniah was a really good name.
It was,
funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like just a little bit over the top and ridiculous, but also definitely sounds like the right vibe for a super Christian Witchfinder.
Yeah.
And I was Chastity. Just because it entertains me that I have taken several miles of dick and my name was Chastity.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, Chastity also had. Chastity was not chaste.
No, not at all. So kind of that character development for me was pretty straightforward. Angry little man, basically.
Yeah.
And in terms of like researching into strategy, I did actually look at, so what did they do in the witch trials, and how could I incorporate some elements of that into the scene in an ethical way, understanding that I can't do the things that they actually did.
Yeah.
Because that would have killed you.
Yeah, because a lot of the actual witch trials, people died during the interrogations. A lot of the torture techniques they used were definitely not rack.
No.
Any of the letters.
No.
They were not particularly bothered with making sure that the alleged witches survived to the end of the trial.
No.
So there's a lot of that we couldn't replicate, but we could look at the vibe.
No. I mean, I think they were very aware of the risks, but that was kind of the point.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a lot of physical torture in there, using whips and things like that. So, and I think we talked about this anyway, but I knew going in, there wasn't going to be anything in my toolbox that you liked.
Yeah.
I deliberately picked everything that you hated out of all of our things that we used. But looking at so one of the things they did during witch trials was dunking. I procrastinated on researching how you would do that safely in a BDSM context, but we'd agreed, waterboarding would be on the list as an equivalent.
Yeah. Dunking is on the list for future when we've done some classes.
Yeah.
Because we saw some dunking and it's cool as fuck. But yeah, we stuck with waterboarding as our water torture standard.
Yeah, they used chemicals, which is where the nettles came from. They used restraint, so you were cuffed up and manacled. They did soaping, which we didn't get to.
Because you forgot the soap.
And I actually forgot the soap, which would have been a fun thing to do. And obviously the burning, which was the end of the trial anyway. But I also looked at enhanced interrogation techniques.
Yeah.
And a lot of it wasn't all that helpful because it was based on having access to technology, and it was based on kind of much longer periods of time.
Yeah.
And I knew from the first interrogation that kind of thing doesn't work on you in a short space of time.
Yeah.
And just would be impractical in that environment. So really loud noises, flashing lights, making you watch horrible things on the screen, classic good cop, bad cop kind of thing.
More ideas for a future interrogation at home then.
Yeah, none of that kind of stuff kind of really, really helped. But there were a couple of things, so making you kneel on things, making you move between kind of being knelt and being stood up, slapping you in the stomach.
That was awful and so surprising because that's not something we've done before and not something I knew was coming.
No.
And if you'd said, I'm going to slap you in the stomach, I'd have been like, okay, piece of piss, nice break from the whips.
Yeah.
Surprisingly nasty. One of the most painful parts of it, actually.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it. And then when you told me you'd learned about it from reading about actual modern day torture techniques, it's like, okay, so that tracks. That's why it's so bad.
Yeah. It was something that they did at Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
I was reading a website about what the techniques they used there were. I was like, stomach slapping. Nice.
Consensual stomach slapping is nice.
Yes.
We do not condone Guantanamo Bay.
No, obviously. But it was really interesting. Like that specifically, it was really interesting because I was like, the obvious thing would be to punch you in the stomach.
Yeah.
But like immediately I was like, yeah, slapping someone really hard across the stomach is gonna sting like a fucker.
It really does. Yeah, it's much worse than being punched in the stomach because we've incorporated that into a lot of sort of CNC resistance type scenes. You'll often give me a good punch to the stomach to subdue me.
Yeah.
And we're careful about safety and how hard you do it and stuff, but it's never overwhelmingly painful. It is more of a psychological thing and being winded and having like the fight taken out of me a bit, where the stomach slapping was just agonizing.
Yeah.
And I bruised from it, which I've never bruised from being just slapped with a bare hand before, but on the stomach I really did.
Yeah. So I did that thinking about some of the things that might be useful techniques, but I was really careful not to come up with a list of too many things.
Yeah.
To do, because again, I think that learning from the first interrogation, that kind of fairly quick cycle through different things happening, actually helped you. What was one of the things that kind of helped you get through that?
It did, yeah. It was tough in some ways because I knew every time you came back into the room it was going to be something a little bit worse.
Yeah.
But I also knew that it would probably be 15 minutes of it at most. Where anything that you did to me, if I could tough it out for 15 minutes, you would switch to something else, and even if it was worse, at least it was different.
Yeah.
One of the things that was so hard to take in this interrogation is because you kept going back to the same things over and over. Yeah. I knew that all I was getting was a breather. I was still going to have to face it again. I was going to have to face it again, and I was going to keep having to face it until either I confessed or you got sick of it, and that might have taken hours.
Yeah.
So that had a really strong psychological effect of me, of just ramping up fear.
Yeah.
Of dreading it more and more and more each time you return to it, especially the 3 whips you were using and the rubber paddle. That combo was just, every single one of them hurt just as much as each other, and you just kept going to them.
Yeah. And that was essentially my strategy. We took other things up there with us as well, and I think if the interrogation had gone on for longer, I probably would have used some of those. So we took the Heretic's Fork, which I was going to use in combination with making you kneel on the acupressure mat, which I did, very first thing I did. But using that in combination with the Heretic's Fork and leaving you in that state, because obviously we'd agreed that I wouldn't hit you with anything while you had the Heretic's Fork. So the Heretic's Fork, for people who don't know, is basically, ours is 3D printed plastic, but it's basically a double-sided fork, 2 tines up either side, and it's designed to go between underneath someone's chin and like the top of their chest.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a posture kind of thing where it forces your head into a particular position. So I was going to have you kneel, recite the Lord's Prayer on the mat with that there, and that was going to be a period of just leaving you.
Yeah.
A, so I could have a breather, but B, so that that would be awful for you and would be something that you would have to endure. And then back to what you just said, knowing that once that's over, you would be back to being whipped.
Yeah.
And using fear in that way. Because my plan was, for at least the first chunk of it, just be relentlessly violent.
And you were.
So start out escalated rather than ramp up to it.
Yeah, which was a really smart strategy.
But yeah, that was as far as my kind of strategizing went. Like I say, it feels pretty straightforward, but I think for me, straightforward was the right way to go with it.
Definitely, and it was effective.
Yeah,
as we have revealed, it was very effective.
Yeah. But what about you? You put quite a lot of work into your strategy and preparation for it.
I did, yeah, and I think I probably did my character work the other way around from you, where I strategized first and then reverse engineered a lot of my character from the strategy.
Right.
I made a decision early on that Chastity was a witch.
Yeah.
We'd talked about the possibility that I could be falsely accused, and for sort of the drama and the like desperation of that really appealed to me. But I wanted the dramatic confession moment where I revealed that I was a witch, and you would know that I was a witch, and I wasn't just saying it for the torture to stop. I wanted like a defiant moment if I lost the interrogation, and I, spoiler alert, I really did.
You did.
So that was kind of my starting point, and then I went into thinking of a strategy, because I'd promised you that I was not going to use the silence that I used in the first interrogation, and that I wouldn't use music as a psychological anchor. In the first interrogation, I'd had a couple of songs that I would like whisper to myself on repeat as a way of marking time and self-soothing and distracting myself from what was going on. And I promised I wouldn't reuse the same strategy, kind of to give us both a chance to experience it in a different way. But also because I didn't think either of those things would be as good for this scene. Having sort of modern pop music would have felt like a bit of an anachronism, and I know we had fucking hundreds of anachronisms, but I didn't want to like kill the vibe with that. And silence would have taken away a lot of the roleplay opportunities and the chance for our characters to bounce off each other and do a little bit of like improv essentially.
Yeah.
So I ruled those out. So I decided that what I was going to do instead is that I was going to have the layers of secrets that worked really well for me in the first interrogation. So the fact that I was trying to hide from you that I was using these songs was a fun little bit of defiance that gave me an edge. So I wanted to make sure I had secrets I was keeping from you other than the fact that I was a witch. And I wanted to have something that I could memorize and repeat the same way I'd used the songs as an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that Chastity has the same patron goddess that I do, because it's easy. I didn't have to learn anything new.
Yep.
And Inanna, who is my patron goddess, like a number that is sort of sacred in relation to her is the number 8. Her symbol is an 8-pointed star. And you can, with a little bit of wibbling, relate it to one of the most important pieces of mythology about her, where she descended through the 7 gates of hell and then died there and was resurrected and came back. So I choose to interpret that as coming back as the 8th gate, just so I can have one number, not 2, to work with. So I was trying to work in the number 8 as much as possible into my backstory, into things that I said, and into my strategy. Because that would give me a fun little thing that I like had over you that you wouldn't pick up on, and I was confident you wouldn't pick up on it.
And I didn't.
You didn't, no. And there were the couple of things that I did that would have made it so easy for you to pick up on as well that you missed. So I felt very smug throughout about that. So the thing that I chose to memorize and have as my psychological anchor was I went through the Bible and I made myself a list of every chapter 8 verse 8 that is in the Bible. Not all books have got 8 chapters, but every one that did, I wrote them all down. I went through and stripped out about 2/3 of them because they were either sort of clunky or they had things in them that could have been taken as like an offensive statement without the context they were in, or possibly even in the context they were in, or just that I couldn't make them flow with each other. And with the ones that were left, I arranged them into something that almost made sense. Like they all sort of led on to the next verse quite well in a way that sounded like it was all one narrative, but also was kind of nonsensical and hard to follow. And I spent 2 weeks memorizing that.
Yep. Yes, you did.
I learned it in sections. I recorded audio of myself reading it out and made it into a little video with the dynamic captions that flash up word by word. So I would watch that at my desk quite a lot of the time, sort of at work, just have it running in the background. I would listen to that if I was just kind of like doing cooking and stuff in the kitchen. Sometimes I'd have that with headphones on. I was constantly running it until I had it absolutely nailed, and I could do it even when I was distracted. I sneakily practiced it during a scene we did. I had my face down in the pillow and was muttering it to myself to check I could do it when I was being hit. So I got that absolutely nailed. So that was a big part of my strategy. But then I tried to work 8s into as much other stuff as possible. So Chastity's mother died 8 years ago. We'd agreed that I was going to hide clues either in the tent or on my person. I had 8 clues that you could have found, but you didn't find all of them, so you didn't know there were 8 of them.
No, I only found 3, I think.
Yeah, you found... So I had a crystal that I had inserted inside myself.
Yes.
Which I don't think you would have found when you did, but it started to slip down when I was walking, so as soon as you put your hand in my underwear, you found it immediately because it was right there. But you missed that I had 3 little tiny mini bottles sewn inside my underwear. 2 of them had sigils in, and one had a bit of paper that just had the number 8 on it, which would have really helped you if you'd found them.
Would have done.
I had a crystal in each pocket of my skirt, so that's 5 clues so far. You didn't find the crystals in my pockets.
No.
So out of those 5 clues, you had only found 1. I left a tarot card in the bed on the tent, which you did find. That one I made sure was really easy for you because obviously that was strength, number 8. And I had a pouch of crystals hanging around my neck as a necklace, which you found once you cut my top off. But what you didn't find out was that if you'd opened up that pouch and counted the crystals, there were 3 different kinds of crystals, and there were 8 of each one.
Yes. Which is just, like, insane.
Yeah.
Was that all of them? Was that all 8?
I believe that's all 8 mix, yeah. So we've got the crystals around my neck, the crystal in my hoo-ha, the crystal in each pocket, so 2, the 3 little jars, and the tarot card. 8.
And I found 3 of them.
Yep. Which was... an impressively poor showing, given that all of them except one were on me the entire time.
Yeah.
But there was a lot going on.
Well, the skirt came off pretty quickly, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I wasn't rooting through your pockets
No.
for that. But I am, and will always be, really mad about those 3 little bottles.
Yeah.
Because I saw them.
Yeah.
And I just thought, that's folded in a weird way.
Yeah. There was like a visible sort of scrunch at the front of my underwear where the stitching was. And you didn't notice.
I just thought it had...
And I'd assumed you would either cut or pull my underwear off at some point, and then you definitely would have seen them.
Yeah.
But because we never got to the nettle stuffing part, you didn't. But I thought the underwear might come off really early, and then you'd find them.
Yeah.
I thought the crystal inside me I might get away with until you got the speculum involved.
Yeah.
But obviously, because it started to fall out, you got it. So yeah, I was very smug about my little clues. But then developing my character came after a lot of that, because once I'd got my insane monologue that I'd learned, then I started figuring out how I could make it mean something in my head.
Yeah.
Because I'd only really put the verses together in a way where they sort of all connected onto the next one, mainly to make it easier to memorize. But then I started to pull a narrative from it. So the first section of it was, all of the words of my mouth are just, none of them is crooked or perverse. How can you say we are wise, for we have the law of the Lord, when actually the lying pen of the scribes has handled it falsely? Ask the former generation, find out what their ancestors learned. They have read from the book of the law of God, making it clear and giving the meaning so the people understood what was being read. Just as an aside, I love how much you hate this.
Yeah.
You are sick of hearing this.
Yes.
So that first section, the meaning that I chose that Chastity would have behind that was that that people who are following the Christian faith are following the Bible rather than their actual God. They're following lies that have been written down, misinterpretations and warping of scripture that's happened over time, and aren't actually truly connected to their faith, where hers is completely true and is about personal connection with God.
Yeah.
So she sees herself as being very much in the truth, even though she's telling a lot of lies.
Yeah.
So that was my sneaky meaning in that one.
Yeah.
And there were 6 sections of it, and everything had something like that. So the second one was all talking about sacrifice, and that was her basically saying, I've let you catch me.
Yeah.
I'm choosing to sacrifice myself so that you can see where your faith has taken you to.
Yeah.
The third section talks about like people celebrating in a city and all the blessings that a land has, and then God saying, take the city and set it on fire.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, your God creates and destroys on a whim. But mine sees these two as the same thing. Creative energy and destructive energy are all one thing, which is how I'm able to withstand what you're doing to me.
Yeah.
The fourth section of it had a lot of verses that were talking about the general idea that the material world is a barrier between you and God. One of the verses in it was, those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God.
Mm-hmm.
And that was about contrasting Jeffiniah's faith with how he follows a faith that is all about abstaining from things, you know, refusing sex, fasting, all of these ways of like disconnecting yourself from pleasure. And Chastity saying, but you can embrace pleasure and still ascend beyond the material. That can be a way of bringing you closer to God as well. The fifth section is where I was basically just saying I'm a fucking witch, because it had a bit that I believe this one was from Revelation, talking about the second angel blew a trumpet and a mountain all ablaze falls into the sea, which I was using as a reference to the destruction of Mount Ibich, which is a myth about Inanna destroying a mountain that offended her in its pride, and is widely considered to be the origin of the Eden myth. But from the different perspective of destroying Eden frees humans, rather than destroying Eden being a sort of condemnation of humans. So that was very much a sort of, your God threw you out of Eden, but mine let us out. Like a real fuck you in your face. And then there's this long rambling bit about a goat with its horn being broken off. And I was like, this is just the witchiest shit I could be saying, really rubbing it in your face. And then the final section had I am not commanding you, but I want to test the sincerity of your love by comparing it with the earnestness of others. Very much a plea for Jeffiniah to see the love that Chastity has for him. And then finished up with just as no one is discharged in time of war, so wickedness will not release those who practice it, which is again a little bit of a dig from Chastity, being like, you are the one practicing wickedness, and I want you to see that. So I was just looping that through the entire interrogation, basically doing my confession, and then when I did my big dramatic confession, I explained the meaning of the whole thing as part of it.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to plan, and it was a really great way of reverse engineering the character, because once I figured out how to make those verses mean something, then I knew what my character's motivations were.
Yeah, which is really, really smart and really, really clever. And I think what was really both enjoyable and deeply frustrating about it is I didn't get to understand the full actual meaning of it, but I was kind of listening to what you were saying, and I was like, there's stuff in here that clearly you didn't say it out loud, but I was like, they've clearly looked at the Bible and they've picked out verses which have an ambiguous meaning in this context, an ambiguous meaning. So they are saying witchy shit to me.
Yeah.
So I was really torn between actually wanting to stop and listen to what you were saying and kind of try and decode it a little bit as a way of gathering evidence to kind of throw questions back at you. But I was torn between that and my strategy of relentless physical torture.
Yeah.
And it was getting that balance right. So when I was off picking a weapon or filling the watering can up for the waterboarding, I was trying to listen to what you were saying, but I just couldn't, in that moment, I just couldn't get enough of the meaning to be able to question you about it. All I could do was, you are blaspheming and taking the word and corrupting it kind of thing. I couldn't get any deeper than that in that moment, and that was really frustrating for me.
I know, yeah. And that was a big part of the strategy too, is I knew it would go one of two ways. Either you would end up stopping to just listen to it for a few runs to try to figure out what I was saying, which would buy me some time, or that you wouldn't do that and therefore would be really frustrated that you weren't able to examine the clue because you had too much going on. Yeah. So it was like, either way, it was a good little attack on you.
It's really, really clever. Really clever. And like, you know, just the level of thought that went into the planting of the clues and the use of the number 8, because you changed. There was one passage which is actually 7 bushels, and you said 8 bushels.
There's 7 basketfuls of broken pieces.
That's it. Yeah.
7 basketfuls of broken pieces. From the story of the feeding of the 5,000.
Yeah.
It was disciples picked up 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over after these people had been fed, and I changed it to 8. And it was particularly good because the line before that was, the people ate and were satisfied.
Yeah.
So I was there like, the people ate and were satisfied, and the disciples picked up 8 basketfuls of broken pieces.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with myself. But I didn't change any other words to make it like fit what I wanted to say. That was the only thing I changed, and that was quite a late decision as well. I was rehearsing it as 7 up until about 3 days before, and I suddenly thought I could put a sneaky 8 in there.
Yeah.
And I thought there was a chance that, I know you didn't grow up religious or anything, so I figured you wouldn't spot it, but I thought if we had a decent crowd watching, there might be someone in the crowd who would point out that's not what that verse says. Which would have been a risk to my strategy, but also would have opened up a whole other like wild goose chase for you to then start intensely questioning me about all of the 8 references, which wasn't actually going to get you to a confession. It was going to look dodgy as hell. Yeah. And if I was trying to prove I wasn't a witch, it wouldn't have helped my case. But the only thing that was going to actually be a win for you was me confessing. Yeah. So it would have still been a massive distraction technique. Yeah. And I had a bunch of stuff like that. I had a bunch of things that I could confess to that weren't being a witch that would buy me some time. Because if I started giving you some information about Chastity, you would stop hitting me and listen. Yeah. So I had the reveal that her mother was a witch.
Yeah.
I had the reveal that she had done a lot of wild stuff when she was younger, getting loads of piercings, getting tattoos, drinking, disrespecting her parents, having a proper wild phase. I had the reveal that she wasn't a virgin as well, which came quite late in the game. And, you know, that she had slept with loads of men, loads of women, didn't know how many, all of this kind of stuff. So, again, it was that breaking in layers thing. It's like, anytime I feel like I'm going to confess, I'm going to give a piece of information. It'll cause a little bit of roleplay, a little bit of a distraction. I'll stop getting hit for a minute. It'll give me a breather, and it gets rid of that impulse for me to shout, I confess.
Yeah.
So I had quite a lot of fun with that as well. Yeah. That was great.
Yeah. Was there any that you didn't use?
No mix. I had considered having one in there that Chastity had cheated on Jeffiniah, but I scrapped it, not because I didn't end up wanting to use it in the scene, but because it didn't fit the character the more I got to know her.
Yeah.
Like, I'd initially thought maybe Chastity has always just been out for Jeffiniah and has wanted to fuck him over. And as I got to know her better, it was like, no, she genuinely has made the mistake of her life falling in love with a witchfinder and actually really does love him and is devoted to him and sees what she's doing is trying to free him. So it wouldn't have fit into her character to have cheated on you.
Right.
So I got rid of that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So you went through all of them then?
Yeah.
You did all of your non-confession confessions?
Yeah.
And then did the confession?
Yeah, and it's how I really knew I was in trouble, because I was getting through them so quick.
Yeah.
I kept having to use one because I just couldn't sustain it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, yay for that.
Yeah. So that was our strategizing.
Yeah.
So if we jump forward a little bit, the day of the interrogation, we
Yeah.
woke up at about 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
How was that for you, Mix?
That was terrible. And I had a passionate hatred for a previous version of me that had decided that it would be a good idea to post in the Kinky Camping group that we are doing a witch trial and that we invite people to join us in the witch trial. And I laid out what we'd agreed about, where it would start, where it would move to, and what would be happening. And a day and a time, obviously, because we'd agreed when we were going to do it. And in the moment when I posted that, I thought that would be a really good idea. At 5:30 on the Thursday morning, it was the worst fucking idea I've ever had in my life, and I hated myself.
And I did think that at the time you posted it, you said, would you be okay with it? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Huge fucking exhibitionist here. Love it. But you are going to regret that. And you were like, oh, I don't think we'll get that many people. It'll be like maybe 10 people maximum. There's going to be lots of other stuff going on. And I was like, this is a pretty cool scene. This is a scene I would drop everything to go and watch. Are you sure? And you were like, it'll be fine, and posted it. And then it did seem to get quite a lot of interest.
Yeah.
And then people were telling their friends and gathering their friends and being like, let's go yell some abuse at a witch.
Yeah.
And I think you realised what you had released from its cage.
Yes. But no, I woke up on Thursday morning. I don't think I was having an actual panic attack, but I don't think I was far off.
No.
Just the whole thing felt like it was too much. Like we've never done roleplay before, and this was going to be our first attempt at roleplay.
Yeah.
Stupid idea. You know, I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't remember really basic things about what we'd said was going to happen at each stage. I couldn't remember the things that I had thought about in terms of how I wanted it to flow within that framework that we'd agreed. I was terrified of anybody watching it, you know, kind of. And I think on two levels as well. On the one hand, just the general fear of being perceived and my nervousness around any kind of exhibitionist play, even in that environment that we were in. But also that nagging fear that I still have, which does not have any truth to it as far as I can see, or any justification, that doing something that physically intense would expose my lack of ability as a sadist.
Yeah.
And actually, people would look at it and go, this is unsafe and dangerous.
Yeah.
And either that would be the view that people take away from it, or somebody would intervene and go, I need to stop this because this is dangerous. So all of that was just swirling around in my head, and I just couldn't focus on anything because I deliberately not planned the interrogation part in a lot of detail beyond the strategy that I'd come up with. I wasn't like, I'm going to do this, and then after 10 minutes I'm going to do this, and then after 15 minutes I'm going to do this. I didn't do that because I think that's what screwed me up in the first one.
Yeah.
Partly. But not having that was terrifying because it's like, well, what if I forget? What if I run out of ideas? What if I can't improv? Stuff like that. So I was in a bit of a state. You
really were, yeah.
On the Thursday morning. And you did your best. You were very supportive and helpful. And, you know, when I went off to get coffee, I bumped into a couple of people that we know, a couple of pals, and kind of shared with them that I was feeling a little bit. And they said some things which were really reassuring and really helpful. Did not go in at all. All I could hear in my head was, you're going to fuck this up and it's going to be rubbish. And you're shit at this. Don't do it. So I came very, very close to saying, I can't do this. We need to stop and not do it.
Yeah.
Even during the preparation kind of time. So we got up, we had coffee, we sorted ourselves out, sort of thing. And while you were becoming Chastity, I went and collected nettles because we had nettle stuffing on the list. I I took everything up to where we were going to do the interrogation. So I took all of a bag of stuff to do mean things to you. I took the water for the waterboarding up there, left a little sign saying, "Witch trial here at 11:30, don't steal our stuff." So I was going through the motions of doing all of that, absolutely convinced that I would get back to the tent and say, "I can't do this."
Yeah.
And kind of making my peace with that as I was doing it as well, going, well, I tried. I gave it a go. I gave it my best shot.
And I had no idea it was that bad. I obviously knew at 5:30 in the morning when you were pretty much having a panic attack that things were pretty bad. But after we talked for about half an hour, you did seem to calm down a lot. And I'd sort of said to you at the time, if you don't feel like you can do this, you do not have to do this. It's really important that we both go into this fully consenting to it. It's important that we both enjoy this. If you are not going to enjoy it, we're not going to do it. But I also said that I thought you would really regret it if you did decide not to. I thought, in a few hours' time, they're going to be kicking themselves. And because of it being quite an intense and very public scene, it's not the kind of thing we could have just gone, well, fuck it, we'll do it tomorrow. Because people who'd been actively avoiding the areas we were going to be in might have then seen stuff they didn't want to see. People who'd wanted to be part of it might have missed out because they had other plans. So it was like, it is kind of now or never, and you were going to kick yourself if you don't do it. And then you seemed to calm down, and I was like, oh, what I said worked. And I didn't realise you still had all of that noise in your brain and were still considering pulling out. So I just potted around becoming Chastity and looking forward to the scene and worrying about you a little bit. I was worried that if you were still having some of that anxiety going into it, I didn't think that you weren't going to do it, but I thought you might do it and end up with really bad drop or end up having to sort of nope out half an hour in yourself, which wouldn't be, I wanted to win, but I didn't want to win by default because you had a panic attack mid-scene and had to stop. That's not not a win.
No.
So I was a little bit worried about you, and actually that stopped me from remembering to be worried for myself, which was spectacularly stupid.
Yes, self-preservation, all part of the tactic.
But other than that little bit of worry for you, I had a pretty chill morning, so I was too excited to eat. I didn't really feel nervous, but I felt so excited I couldn't eat, which in hindsight might have been a little bit of nervous energy. And I was constantly thinking I should really eat something because this is going to affect my pain threshold, but I just couldn't. So I threw myself into getting ready. I had my good Christian woman outfit that I bought specially. I had this white blouse with a high neckline and long sleeves. We took my collar off, which we very rarely do, so that was great for getting in the headspace. And I was wearing a crucifix necklace, and I had a ankle length long blue skirt that I was wearing, and my sensible walking boots because I knew I'd be getting dragged around through the woods. I sort of pinned my hair up that looked very it was just very good girl hair.
It was.
I took my
looked amazing.
Thank you. I took my ear tunnels out as well, partly so they wouldn't end up getting slapped halfway across the forest, and partly because I didn't think Chastity would wear them. So I got all done up, and then our original plan had been that we might spend an hour or two in character in the morning, as a way of sort of easing into it. But because you were nervous, you said let's just get in character 10-15 minutes before the scene starts. So I respected that and continued to be myself with you. But anytime I was wandering off and chatting to friends, I was being Chastity. I was going up to people and being like, oh, God has blessed us with such beautiful weather today. I love being a good Christian woman and praying and going to church. And everyone was absolutely creased and they were loving it.
And I heard some of that when I was knocking around the tent, getting ready for things. It was fun to listen to. I think that was in a weird kind of way helpful as well, hearing you interacting with other people around the tent. Almost like, oh shit, too late now, innit? It started. But you look great. You did a really good job of like this good Christian woman. I mean, it was all stuff from Amazon, wasn't it? But like at a distance, it did look pretty good as a what someone in that era might have looked like.
Like the overall vibe, it was sort of a cross between like olden days outfit and like a modern Mormon. It was like in that sweet spot between the two.
The shoes were my insistence though.
I'd been gonna wear some sandals or something, and then I'd said like, oh, you could make me take my shoes off and walk over the gravel barefoot, and you were like, no, because if you break your toe on the way to the interrogation, I'm gonna have to stop. And I was like, you don't have to stop, use it. And you're like, no, I'm going to stop. So you made me wear sensible walking boots.
I need you to get up to the spot where we're doing the interrogation in one piece, relatively speaking. So while you were doing that and I was having my mild panic attack, I got changed into mine, which was a lot more straightforward. it was a bit of a cooler day. So I was wearing long black trousers and a black t-shirt, which felt kind of vibey for what we were doing.
Yeah.
Um,
You're really hot in all black, so I was on board with that.
Yeah. I think the only slightly disappointing thing about my outfit is that because the trousers I was wearing were cuffed, you could see the gap between the top of the trousers and the trainer socks that I was wearing, which I just object to on principle.
Yeah.
I hate seeing that. So that's what I see when I look at the pictures.
Yeah.
You can see the gap between my trousers and my socks.
That's not what I'm looking at in the pictures, mate. I'm looking at the like throbbing vein in your temple.
Yeah.
And like your jaw all set, really angry. It's like, I'm gonna kill this witch. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
But then I had this moment in the tent. Like, I'd taken something to use as evidence. I knew you were gonna plant evidence, or there would be clues for me to find. But I'd taken something as well. I with your permission, took a book of sigils that you'd done for various reasons. And that was something that was on the list of things that I was allowed to take. So we went through all of your the things that are on your altar in our bedroom, and I said, right, what are the things that have to stay here and I cannot take? And you pointed to the things, and everything else was fair game.
Yeah.
And immediately when you did that, I saw the book. I was like, yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Very incriminating.
Yeah, very incriminating, but it's also the kind of thing that Chastity would have. In my head, I was like, yeah, that would be what she would have, because they were all positive things.
Yeah.
And there was that kind of innate goodness to her.
Yeah.
I think so. That's why I chose that. But it was when I was in the tent and kind of having that moment of, okay, so I've got the evidence now. They're out there doing their chastity thing, being a good Christian woman, and everybody around you is chortling about that. And kind of had that moment of, if I'm going to do something like this, this is the place to do it, because where else am I going to feel safe enough to do it?
Yeah.
You know, if I can't do it here, I won't do it anywhere, because there's nothing like this place, this environment that is being curated and created, where you can do this kind of thing. So it's kind of now or never, really. That was kind of in my head. I then just thought, fuck it. Literally, like, fuck it. And absolutely screamed witch.
Yeah.
Loudest I've ever shouted. Louder than I should have. Definitely louder than I should have. Louder than I thought I was capable of. Just screamed witch. And then we were away. Which was just bonkers.
Yeah. So it was about 15 minutes before the scene was due to start. You were hanging around, and that was the time we'd agreed to get into character. So I sat down in one of the camping chairs without asking first, because Chastity we don't have protocol.
Yeah.
And then I started whittering at you in Good Christian Woman, and I saw you a little bit panicked, but also like, yeah, we're doing the thing. And you sort of disappeared off into the tent. Yeah. And one of our friends turned up who had agreed to take some pictures and videos of the scene for us so we could look back at it afterwards. With this being a kinky camping event, she was dressed in a sexy cow outfit.
Yeah.
And so I was chatting to her in character as Chastity and talking about how, this campsite that me and Jeffiniah have chosen for our wholesome engagement trip together is full of a lot of godless sinners wearing very unusual things. I mean, no judgment to you, of course, dear, but I do hope you find Christ. She was cracking up. Because that's obviously not me normally. I'd literally been naked on the campsite the day before. So I was like in character while you were pottering in the tent, and the whole time it was like I could feel you behind me. I was like, this is going to kick off any minute now. And I was pretty sure that how it would start would be you yelling witch, because I think we talked about that. So I was like, either I'm going to hear a really loud yell anytime now, or something else awful is going to happen. Yeah. And I don't know exactly when it's going to be, because I'd taken my watch off and got rid of my phone in preparation. So I didn't even know if we were on time or anything. No. And then, I had never heard you shout so loud. There was a little bit of shouting in the first interrogation, but you had to limit it a bit because we're in a house. So I jumped out of my skin. Mm-hmm. And you burst out of the tent with the chain manacle set that you were going to be using to arrest me, and the evidence. You'd found the tarot card. Yeah. You'd found the book of sigils that I didn't know you were going to have. Yeah. And you were big mad. Jeffiniah was big mad at Chastity.
Yes. Very, very mad. And this is the point in the episode where we're just, from my perspective, we're just making it up now because I cannot remember. There are whole chunks of this that are just going to be. I think that's what happened then.
Yeah, I think because I did quite a lot of writing my thoughts down as soon as I could after the scene to write my blog post about it. So that's a fairly accurate account. Like, there'll be the odd word that is misquoted, but and there's definitely stuff I forgot, but I don't think I put anything in there that straight up didn't happen. I hope. But then after I'd written that, we also got the pictures and videos back from our friend.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the sort of dialogue and chronology of it captured in that. So there's a lot that I think between us we can reconstruct it. But this is our impressions, our memories of the scene based on partial evidence and a bit of a blurry recollection. It's going to be accurate to how it feels in our memories, but maybe not exactly how it was to the people watching it.
Yeah.
And there's 40 odd people who can fact check us on that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because it was similar for me in what happens when I'm speaking publicly. So as part of my job, when I'm not hosting an award-winning podcast or committing sexual acts against you, I have to do quite a lot of public speaking. I go to conferences, I go to big meetings, I talk in front of audiences. And I kind of have a similar sort of thing happen then as well. I get really, really afraid. I get really, really scared of public speaking. And then it comes time to do it. And I can't nope out of it because I'm paid to be there. So I just black out. I disassociate. I stand up. I do the thing. I answer the questions. I sit down. And then I'm back in the room. And what happens between those 2 points is anybody's guess. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
For me,
I remember a lot of it quite clearly, I think, because I started writing it as soon as I possibly could afterwards. And I tend to remember scenes quite well, so some of the order of it might be a little bit scrombly for me, and definitely I haven't memorized word for word everything that was said in an hour and 20 minutes, but I remember a lot. So outside the tent, the first thing you confronted me with was the tarot card.
Yeah.
And all of the evidence I planted, I had come up with plausible sounding explanations for why Chastity would have it.
Yeah.
So straight away, I was like, I found this lying on the ground in the campsite. As a good Christian woman, I was concerned that it would tempt someone into these ungodly practices and sins. So I took it away and put it in our tent so I could ask your guidance on how to deal with it, and then I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
Pretty good explanation, I think, for why I would have a single tarot card. It wasn't even a whole deck.
Yeah.
But it was quite hard to explain that to Jeffiniah because the entire time Chastity was saying it, Jeffiniah kept yelling "liar, witch" in her face.
Yeah.
He did not wish to hear the plausible explanation.
Did not wish to hear the explanation. And I think I presented you with this book of sigils as well, didn't I?
Yeah, which I just denied all knowledge of.
Yeah, I remember saying it. They were in your belongings.
Yeah.
And they weren't. They were in a Asda bag that I had bought with me. So then I put you in the manacles fairly quickly, didn't I?
Yeah, Mix, and we'd agreed, because they are quite faffy to put on, that I would not fight you on this. This was not going to be a CNC moment. I would sit and I would plead with you and try to convince you and maybe sort of tense up a bit, but I was not going to put up any fight. So I just sat there the whole time trying to convince you that I wasn't a witch. It's interesting you said that one of the things you'd sort of thought about in your development of Jeffiniah is that he'd got that kind of witchfinder burnout and was really kind of paranoid and angry and not himself.
Yeah.
We hadn't discussed that part of your character development, but I came to the same conclusion as Chastity, that this job was really not good for you. So I started pleading with you, like, Jeffiniah, your work is making you paranoid, it's making you crazy. I had a really cool line that was something like, you spend so long chasing the devil, you have lost sight of what is good.
Yeah.
Which was not one I practiced, that just came out, and I was like, that was cool.
That was cool.
But none of the pleading did me any good at all. Jeffiniah was not hearing it.
No. So I changed you up in the manacles. And that was I think that was probably the most awkward part of the scene.
Yeah.
Because it just takes fucking ages to put those manacles on. They're really, really faffy.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the only time that I was like negatively aware that we were being watched. And I don't, other than yelling at you, I don't think I said very much to the people who had gathered at that point.
And I could tell that you were sort of running out of things to say to fill the time while you were chaining me up. So I made sure to keep engaging with you by saying something you could react to. And it was funny, there were a couple of points where you were like, "Silence, witch!" And I would stop talking because it's like, Chastity would just shut up now.
Yeah.
And then I could see you getting anxious, and it's like, no, silence, which is no use right now.
Yeah.
So I would start with some excuses and some pleading with you and some bleating at you about how we have prayed together today. I'm a good Christian woman.
Yeah.
And then that would set you off again, and we kept it running.
We kept it going. So yeah, got you into the manacles, made you stand up, forgot to lock the tent, which I styled out, to be fair.
You did, yeah.
I started kind of pushing you towards the hub, and then I thought, oh shit, no, I need to lock the tent. I can't remember what I said. I said something like, just excuse me a moment while I lock this house to protect it from this horror.
That is exactly what you said, yes. And then you couldn't, I think you like dropped the key and couldn't find it for a second, and someone in the crowd shouted, "The witch has magicked it away!"
Yeah.
And I just stood there going, "No, I didn't do it. It wasn't me." And then you marched me off to the hub.
Yeah. I had a bell, like one of those proper old school bells, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And we have a paddle, which is basically a copy of the New Testament on a stick.
Yeah.
Somebody has glued together an actual copy of the New Testament and then drilled into it and put a stick on it. So I was using that to hit you, to make you move, and to punish you for your devilish ways.
And the crowd really started to gather like on that walk over to the hub, and just got louder and angrier. Like everyone, like most of these people are my friends, and some of them didn't know me, but everyone who did know me are people that like me. And they were all like out for blood, like loads of accusations flying, loads of booing. The sexy cow was mooing instead of booing, which was a nice touch.
Brilliant.
But yeah, everyone accusing me. The sexy cow accused me of having turned her into a cow.
Yep.
One of our friends turned up, Tom from Insert Here Kink, turned up in lingerie and cat ears and a butt plug tail, and announced that I had turned him queer.
Yes.
Which, I mean, if that was the case, I'd done a very thorough job.
Done a really good job. But it was that sort of thing that kind of helped me to start to engage with the people around us. So I was walking along with you, hitting you with the Bible, ringing the bell, sort of, we found a witch. And then Tom's partner Kay said they turned them queer, and I kind of echoed that back to them. I go, they ringing the bell. She turned them queer, kind of thing.
Full volume as well.
Yeah. So that little walk to the hub was quite good because they were all behind me. I could hear them booing and jeering and shouting and stuff like that, and it kind of helped get me into it.
Yeah. Was it helpful for you that they were all on your side, Mix, given how nervous you were?
Yeah, but I think I expected that.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this, didn't we? We didn't specifically say, when I posted the thing advertising it, which I still regret, I was inviting people to come along and boo and jeer and throw accusations. I didn't specifically say, or you can support the witch. Yeah. So people kind of took me at my word, I guess.
It would have been an interesting social experiment if we'd said turn up and pick a side.
Yeah.
But I think it was really good for my headspace that no one was on my side, because I love a bit of public humiliation, bit of bullying, bit of emotional masochism.
Yeah.
And I wondered if maybe it was helpful for yours, like if it would have been more difficult for you if the crowd had been partially against you and trying to say, no, let Chastity go, she's innocent. If that would have made it more difficult, or if you could have still bounced off that.
And no, I think I still would have bounced off that, because there was another one of our friends had thought about saying something.
I remember this when she said afterwards, she told us that she'd considered saying, oh, I know she's a witch, I saw it in my tarot cards this morning.
Yeah.
Which would have been fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
but she didn't, because she was like, I think Jeffiniah is going to get me if I do.
Yeah. And I think that's what I would have done. In a way, I was kind of sad that they didn't in the end. Totally understand why. They didn't require people to say anything at all. But I think if she had, I would have been like, there would have been a moment of levity in it and go, right, you're next.
Yeah.
So I walked you along to the main hub. So the most public part of the entire site.
Yep.
Right in the middle, where the fire pit is, viewed from everywhere.
Where the organiser of the event has his little outdoor office set up, so he was probably there tapping away, replying to messages, watching it as well.
Yeah. It's where the coffee station is, it's where all of the activities take place, it's where people gather. So, ridiculous place to go. And that's where we did, like, the biggest bit of crowd work, I suppose. And despite everything that I've just said about not wanting to be perceived and not enjoying public speaking and stuff like that, I really enjoyed that.
I could tell you were really enjoying it while you were so into it. And me too.
Great time. Like, how was that for you? You tell us how you experienced that bit.
Yeah, it was incredible. I absolutely loved it, Mix. I was surprised how quickly it stopped feeling like a performance and started feeling very real. I think it helped. You were hitting me really hard with the Bible.
Yeah.
Like, we've played with that before, and it's usually, like, it's a little bit slappy, but it's not a toy I find hard to take.
Yeah.
But with no warm-up, being shouted at, and you hitting me probably about as hard as you could with it,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a different level. I was visibly bruised before we even got fully into that central hub.
Yeah.
So I was in a lot more pain than I'd expected to be that early in the scene. And I absolutely loved the reaction of the crowd and stuff. It really helped with my headspace. But what it specifically helped with was I felt genuinely humiliated and intimidated by it.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of humor in it, much as it was at times a really serious scene. We had said we were absolutely fine with people going a bit silly and ridiculous with it.
Yeah.
Partly because that's just the nature of a lot of our friends, and partly because I think that actually adds something to it. Like, a lot of the real witch trials, it was absolutely ridiculous accusations. It was completely unhinged paranoia. So though the tone of what we did will have been quite different, the level of ridiculous things I was being accused of actually was probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Because of course I hadn't turned anyone into a cow. I did not turn anyone bisexual. There was someone who was camped near us who'd got a sort of full head deer mask, I assume for another scene they were doing, who came running in at a dramatic moment midway through all these accusations, and she like ran into your view as a deer, like making these sort of like horrified squealing noises and pointing at me. And her partner popped up and went, "She turned my wife into a deer." And it was just like ridiculous, but also it was this wall of noise coming at me from all directions, and it was genuinely quite scary as well, and the humor didn't take the fear out of it. It sort of would break the tension, and then that would make the tension building back up even worse again, because I knew that however completely ridiculous these accusations were, Jeffiniah was taking them completely seriously, and all it was doing was making the case against me worse and worse and worse, and guaranteeing that nothing I could say was going to get through, because it didn't matter how good my justifications were. To Jeffiniah, he's just seen a woman who's been turned into a deer, another who's been turned into a cow, someone with a tail growing out of his butt. Like, it's not looking good for Chastity.
No.
And I really enjoyed the shift in tone that we went through in that scene as a couple, because we'd agreed Chastity and Jeffiniah were a couple. This wasn't a random witch finder going after a random woman. This was very much Jeffiniah has discovered this shit where he lives. And so there was a part where we'd taken my engagement ring off for safekeeping because we knew I'd be scrabbling around with my hands on the floor, but we started the scene with me wearing your engagement ring, and then you dramatically took it off me during that very public part of it, and ended our relationship and said, I take back my betrothal, I will not marry a witch, and snatched it off me and put it back on yourself for safekeeping. But like, that was such a dramatic emotional moment that we both fully committed to. And then it was after that point that Chastity realised like she was not going to be able to reason with Jeffiniah, and sort of became more defiant and was like, I will give no false confession. If you intend to torture me, then so be it, but I am no witch. And that was when you had the torture, you say? That sounds like a good idea.
Yes. And I'm ridiculously really annoyed by that, because there is a line from a film which I really like. It's like, somebody says, I don't know anything about any fucking robbery, you can torture me all you like. And somebody says, torture, that's a good idea, I like that. And that's what I wanted to say. And I didn't.
No, but the intent of the reference was still there, and I think you captured the vibe of it, even if it wasn't spot on. But you did sneak in later on a Hamilton quote, I believe.
Yes. The accusations I lay at your feet.
Which I completely missed at the time, and you pointed out to me later. I was like, you fucking nerd. Love it.
It's from Your Obedient Servant. As for the accusations I lay at your feet, good man. And I was like, a little bit of nerdery. That made me very happy. I got that one in. But I think it's important just to take a moment to acknowledge the people who had gathered. I think they were not on your side. They were booing you, and they were jeering, and they were throwing accusations, but they weren't cruel about it.
No.
It was all very much in like light-hearted, good-natured, getting involved in the scene.
Oh yeah, they were doing exactly what we wanted them to do.
And they were absolutely brilliant. So you had those accusations that we just talked about. we had our friend Lana, who was a guest on the hypnotism episode, accused you of leaving a crow's head outside of their tent, which was actually there.
There was a crow's head outside of their tent, it's true.
Yeah.
And my reply back to that was, do you not think a fox may have left a crow's head outside of your tent? Which is what had obviously actually happened.
Yes.
Because me and Lana had both been told off the day before for trying to touch the crow's head.
Yes.
Me by you, Lana by Edward. We were both forbidden from touching the crow's head.
Yes.
Much to our displeasure.
Quite right too. And there was probably more accusations which I just cannot remember from that.
No, I'm trying to remember if there were any other. There were definitely so many others, and they were fantastic. Someone accused me of having turned their hair purple.
Yes, that is true. I think on the walk up to the interrogation, a few people accused you of giving them a bad night's sleep.
Yes, a whole series of people. Someone said, she gave me a bad night's sleep. And then someone else said, she also gave me a bad night's sleep. And someone else, she also gave me a bad night's sleep. Like a whole chorus of them. And someone also accused me of having put sand and rocks in their shoes as we were walking over a big slope of slippery sand and gravel.
Yes. Yes.
But one of my favourite moments at the hub wasn't an accusation. It was a funny comment and how you responded to it. So you were beating me with the Bible on a stick, and I was crying and falling to my knees and getting back up and being hit again. All very dramatic. And still not confessing, though. So someone shouted up, I think you need a bigger spatula. And you went, there is no bigger spatula than the Bible!
Yeah,
and shoved the Bible in his face as well. He stepped towards him and brandished it.
Yes, I was very proud of that.
Yeah,
that was also the guy who made the Blackadder reference when the person with the deer's head came.
Yes,
up. And I was like, I'm trying to be serious, but I thought that was really nice. Those moments of humor and kind of playing off the people who were there. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah,
and stalking around you and kind of not really standing still when I was.
Yeah, and getting up in my face at points and then walking away from me to address the crowd and then coming back in really close.
Yeah.
And there was a really sort of dramatic moment where I was doing my whole bit near the end of that part of the scene, saying I will give no false confession, I will not lie, I am no witch. And then I said, all the words of my mouth are just. And you at that time had no idea what that was gonna be. You didn't know that was the beginning of my ramble.
No.
So I was quite proud of myself, slipping that in there.
You call me a nerd.
Yeah. We're both big nerds. A scene like this is just pure fucking nerdery.
Yes.
People who aren't familiar with kink would probably get hung up on all the sort of violence and humiliation and all those aspects of it and be like, oh my god, it's so dark. But it's it is, but that's stuff we do for fun, and all the rest of it was just us being big fucking nerds and doing a ridiculous extreme LARP.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, we did. So we moved on from the hub.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a bit of a walk, didn't we? I kind of shoved you in the direction of the path which we both knew.
Yeah.
We both knew where we were going. But I was kind of shoving you along, and I think you fell over a couple of times as well, didn't you?
Yeah, it was hard to walk at the pace you were setting with my feet chained together, and you were hitting me as well, so I fell over a few times. And then at one point you were pushing me to go even faster, and I went, Jeffiniah, no please, I will fall. And you said, if you were a good Christian, God would protect you from your fall.
Yeah.
And I turned and looked at you and went, will he protect you from yours? And then spat in your face.
Yeah.
Which was another of my badass moments.
Yeah, spitting number one. But also, I think that was the first time that I spontaneously kind of broke the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I was checking that the pace was okay for you, because you had fallen over.
Yeah.
And conscious that I didn't want you to break anything. So I think I checked a couple of times that the pace was okay. And I never asked about that, actually. I don't know whether that was a bad thing to do. Not a bad thing.
I think that was okay, Mix. I responded in character. I was like, yes, Jeffiniah.
So there was a little bit of hitting you with the Bible. The route that we took us past some of the other camping areas.
Yeah.
So I made sure to ring my bell and shout witch and say that we found a witch and stuff like that. There was a couple of people kind of in the woods shouting as we went past, kind of burn the witch sort of thing, which was quite nice. But I was genuinely shocked by how many people followed us.
Yeah, we both thought that a lot of the crowd would dissipate at that point and go, no, I'll not come up into the woods.
Yeah.
But vast majority of them did. There must have been at least 30 people who came up into the woods and stayed to basically the end.
Yeah. there was that moment just as we were leaving the hub where I felt really bad because somebody had come along to watch and had kind of brought a chair with them, and they weren't going to follow us up into the woods because of their mobility. They wouldn't have been able to. They chose not to do that. But just as they sat down, we started moving off, and all I could hear in the background was this kind of fairly small voice going, "Oh, I've just sat down."
Oh no. I completely forgot to mention, we knew we'd forget stuff. You also cut my skirt off me in the hub.
Oh, yes.
And that's where you discovered the crystal that I'd stashed inside me.
Yeah.
And snatched that out. And as always, Chastity had a plausible explanation for everything.
Yeah.
And you asked why. Why is this in there if you're not a witch? And I was like, I squeeze it for the health of my pelvic floor so that on our blessed wedding night I could please you better.
Yeah.
Which Jeffiniah was not buying.
No. But it was also really hard to keep a straight face because that was really funny.
Yeah. But you didn't check my front of my underwear, so you missed the jars.
No.
And you'd left my blouse on at that point, so you hadn't got to the crystals in my necklace.
Yeah.
That came later.
Which makes it even more ridiculous that I didn't find the jars because I was literally kneeling in front of you.
With your hand in my underwear? Yeah.
With my hand in... with my hand in your underwear. And it right in my face.
Yeah.
Like I was up close and personal.
I know, I couldn't believe you didn't spot them.
No. Ridiculous.
There were a couple of our friends in the audience who I had told about what clues I'd hidden as well, and they were watching at that point like, go on, just look. Just look. Yeah. But they didn't want to, like, they weren't, much as everyone was joining in with accusations and stuff, they weren't there to give spoilers or tell us each other's strategies, so they didn't intervene. But it must have been so frustrating to watch as well for the people who knew, being like, there's evidence right there.
It's right there, literally right in front of your face.
So we got to the woods. We got to the little wooden shack in the woods where you had set up for the interrogation.
Yes. And it was an amazing little spot. We found it the day before. It was like a little covered shack kind of thing with wooden poles as supports. So I was kind of shoving you into it. So I'd set up the acupressure mat by the pole that I was going to attach you to, and I kind of forced you down onto your knees and told you to recite the Lord's Prayer, which you started doing without making what I called the sacred hand sign.
Yes.
Because in that moment I still don't actually know what you would call it.
No, so putting your hands together to pray. I don't know if there's a word for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started the Lord's Prayer and you shouted, do you not even make the sacred hand sign? So I made the sacred hand sign and restarted it. But I'd known one of the things we had planned was that part of it was going to involve me being forced to recite the Lord's Prayer. Yeah. So I'd been practicing it for a good few days, emphasizing every 8th word, which was another of my little sneaky things. Yeah. So I started that, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And you didn't notice.
No, I didn't notice that.
But I also didn't manage to sustain that for very long because then you started hitting me.
Yeah, I think part of the reason why I didn't notice is that almost immediately I started wailing on you with the rubber ladder that I'd brought with me.
Yeah.
Because again, that was something that I'd picked up from my research, was one of the tests that they gave was to make people recite the Lord's Prayer on the logic that anyone who is a good Christian person would be able to recite the Lord's Prayer uninterrupted.
Yeah.
And wouldn't stumble over their words. I don't know whether they beat the accused witches while they were doing it, but I did.
Yeah.
So using the rubber ladder on your back.
Which was horrible. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's a really lightweight thing. So it wasn't kind of dangerous to your bones or anything. But really, really stingy. Really, really whippy. And I have never hit you there. And never hit you that hard. Yeah. With it.
Yeah, because that's one of the nastiest things we have that I struggle to take. So we tend to use that pretty lightly for play. Yeah. It's we call it a rubber ladder. It's a strap that is used, I think, for securing caravans or caravan awnings or something. It's
right.
Like thin rubber ladder shaped. And getting hit with that at all, but particularly if it's really hard and particularly sort of over bone the way it is, over like the ribs in my back.
Yeah.
It literally feels like I'm being cut. It's like fire. It's just white hot pain that really penetrates right down to the bone. It is absolutely awful. It feels very similar to a lot of the rubber whippy things that were used. I didn't even realize you had used that until afterwards. I thought that was probably the shambok.
Yeah.
But it's that type of pain. Absolutely brutal. And that was the point where I realized, like, I'm definitely not going to win this interrogation. I was hopeful that I could last a good while, but I was like, they're just going to keep doing this, aren't they? This is the plan.
Yeah, this is the plan. Yeah.
So then you cut my top off.
Yes, I did.
And I remember thinking, like, I'd known that getting my clothes cut off was going to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, this shirt is not really protecting me from this whipping at all.
No.
But I am going to feel the difference when it's off. And I did.
Yeah. Was it a big difference, was it?
It was, yeah, Mix. I think, like, probably in real terms, probably not actually a huge difference, but I think just psychologically knowing it was on bare skin made it hurt more.
Yeah.
Because it was only a thin shirt, but it really felt a lot worse. But also cutting my shirt off was also when you discovered the pouch of crystals around my neck.
I did, yes. So I questioned you about that. I did. I mean, quite how you expected me to detect that there were 24 crystals, 3 lots of 8 in there, without kind of pulling them out and counting them.
Well, I had told you that you had my full permission to damage or destroy any of the evidence on me, which I thought might give you a hint that you might want to do that. So I thought you might open the pouch. I thought if you'd found the little glass bottles that you might have smashed them to get in and find out what the sigils were.
Yeah.
Things like that. But
True.
But you didn't. But you asked me what it was.
Yeah.
And I said that I didn't know what it was, but that it belonged to my mother, who had been dead for 8 years. 8 years.
8 years. Yeah,
And so I wore it to honour her.
Yeah.
And you were having none of that. You said that my mother was a witch, and so was I.
Yeah.
Which was true.
Yes. I was thinking about that when you were talking about your kind of layers earlier on. Did I reveal one of your confessions, your not confessions, before you gave it? Because you said it was from your mother, and then I accused her of being a witch.
Yeah, but I denied it at that point, Mix. Yeah. So I still held on to that as a confession for later. But yeah, like Jeffiniah was pretty sharp. Immediately picked up that my mother was a witch due to the suspicious pouch of hers that I was wearing.
Yeah.
Which made sense, but you also could have gone in the direction of being like, I bet this isn't your mother's, it's just yours. So it was kind of 50-50 which of those you would seize onto, but yeah, you immediately decided that Chastity's mother must have been a witch.
Yeah, but for a reason that is not related to the scene. So one of the conversations that we'd had in that third session was drawing on things from our actual life. So one of my favourite accusations that I levelled against you was about your sourdough skills.
Yeah.
I was like, how could you be so good so quickly at sourdough if not for the devil's influence, that sort of thing. So I was checking in with you about a lot of the ideas that I've had for the things that I could accuse you of are based on kirizal, not on chastity, because I don't know enough about chastity to be able to do that, and I didn't expect you to have a fully formed biography to kind of share with me. So you said yes, that was okay. So, like, sourdough skills was one of them. So when you said that the pouch belonged to your mother, it was purely because of who your mother is. Like, as we have discussed in previous episodes.
Not the best person.
Not the best person. You do not have a relationship with your mother. So that's immediate. That's where my head went with that. So, same outcome. Successfully accusing your mother of being a witch in the scene, but there was also a part of me that was just calling your mother a witch.
So valid.
Yeah. And like checking in with you that I could kind of defame your patron goddess.
Yeah.
In Anna.
Yeah.
You advised me against doing that to your other patron goddess.
Yeah.
Which is
Ereshkigal. Yeah. So Inanna is like my primary patron goddess, but I also pray to Ereshkigal really frequently. I think it's good to have a positive relationship with a death god. It's generally like wise.
Yeah.
But I don't think Ereshkigal would necessarily have the same sense of humor about a scene like that. Traditionally, a lot of Inanna's worshipped involved a lot of what would probably now be considered BDSM, so people whipping themselves and each other to go into an ecstatic frenzy. A lot of, at least, allegations of like group sex and things like that with priests.
Yeah.
A lot of LGBT people seem to be drawn towards Inanna. There's a lot of writings about her that talk about her changing man into woman and woman into man.
Yeah.
So I was like, we're doing some queer BDSM
Yeah.
shit in the woods.
Yeah.
I think she'd be on board with it. I think she'd think it was really cool and actually probably take it as quite respectful, so including a little bit of blasphemy in my religion. I mean,
Yeah.
it felt fair given how much blasphemy there was in Christianity that we were doing. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like, equal opportunity, blasphemy for all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said, feel free to insult her, which you did.
Which I did. But did not. Just to be very clear, in case she
Yes, Mix.
in case she is listening, I did not insult or blaspheme against Dereshka Gal.
No.
Because I am very respectful of the deities that decide where I go in the next existence.
Yeah, we play nice with Ereshki Gal.
Yes. And then I think I just hit you some more.
Yeah, I mean, this is the point where I think the order of things gets a little bit scrambled for us because we were both very much in it.
Yeah.
But I know there was a lot of hitting me with various horrible whippy things.
Yeah.
All over as well, because you would sort of hit my back, and then I would lean back and put my back up against the post so you couldn't get it, and you would whip my thighs, and then I would lean forward to cover my thighs, and you would get my back.
Yeah.
And then I would try running around the pole to get away from you, and you would just lash at my legs as I was going, and get my calves and the backs of my knees and all sorts of horrible things, and I would then go, okay, but I'd better crouch down again. And it was just relentless. Lots and lots and lots of whipping and yelling and accusations from you and the crowd throughout.
Yeah. Because I got you out of the manacles and put you into a pair of police cuffs, didn't I? And I had you at different points in the scene. I either had you kind of cuffed around the pole so that you were facing it, with your hands in front of you, and then there was a period where where I swapped you around and you had your hands behind you.
Yeah. So the bulk of the scene, my hands were in front of me, and you did that for the whipping. You did that for the waterboarding, which is the next thing we can talk about. And you did that for the stuff involving your horrible, unhealthy piss.
Yes.
And then you switched me to hands behind my back for some beating the fronts of my thighs and the stomach slapping, which came a little later in the process.
Yes. So the next thing was the waterboarding.
Yes.
Which is the most intense version of waterboarding we've done, I think, including the first interrogation.
Yeah, I would agree, Mix.
Yeah. So you were... I think I had you standing up for most of it, to be fair, although some of it was on your knees as well, I think.
I was mostly on my knees for it, Mix. I think you tried to start it with me standing up, and then I tried to dodge away from it by going onto my knees, so you came down to my level.
Yeah. I say it felt really intense for me. But like normally we would use the watering can with the little sprinkly spout on it. That wasn't getting the result that I wanted, so I kind of pulled the little sprinkly spout off and just did it out of the watering can.
Yeah.
Which meant that it was much faster than it normally is.
Yeah.
I don't think I did it for much longer than I normally would.
No, I think similar time frames, and because I was somewhat upright for it, it wasn't the most intense angle for it, but the psychological element of it being in an interrogation scene, the water coming like harder and faster like that was a lot harder to breathe through. It felt really intense and really nasty.
Yeah.
Just to note as well, the entire time all of this was going on is I'd been doing my insane monologue.
Yeah.
So from after about the third repetition of the Lord's Prayer, I decided, fuck that, I'm not continuing to do that for you. So you shouted in my face, pray, and I made direct eye contact and started my monologue. All the words of my mouth are just, none of them is crooked or perverse, and you got this look on your face like, the fuck is this?
Yes.
Then I continued that through the whipping, and I continued it through a fair chunk of the waterboarding. I couldn't do it while you were actually pouring. But every time you put the cloth over my face, I would just be there muttering my little monologue away to myself, and then I would stop to hold my breath.
Yeah.
Breathe as best as I could through the waterboarding, and as soon as I cleared the water out my nose, start up again.
Yeah.
You were very frustrated by it.
I was. There was a moment when you started doing that where I was actually frustrated with you. Because I was like, you said you wouldn't do this. And then I then very quickly remembered that you had been quite specific in what you had said you wouldn't do. You wouldn't use silence and you wouldn't use songs.
Yep.
And I was like, you little fuck. You absolute little shit. I'm going to make your life a fucking hell for this.
And you did.
And I did. But like for a brief moment, I was really annoyed. I was like, they said they wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And it really threw me off. And then I remembered. And I was like, fuck's sake.
I was sneaky. I was very specific.
Well, no, you were really clear. I think that was the bit. And I kind of snapped myself out of it really quickly. Like, I was like, fine, okay, this is what we're dealing with, because you had been really clear with me,
Yeah.
and I hadn't asked any follow-up questions. So I was like, no, this is partly on me, but fuck's sake.
Next interrogation, I'm memorizing the entire script of B-movie.
Are you going to get faster every time they say the word B?
Yeah, Max. No, I get faster every time you hit me.
But like those the videos of the Eurovision songs where like the Moldovan one speeds up, gets twice as fast every time they say the word Moldova.
Yeah.
So yeah, just on that, as frustrating as it was also really impressive that you were able to keep going with that. Like I didn't remember everything that you'd said, but it seemed to there was a couple of points in it which really stuck in my head. So like the goats and the horns, a bit about oil and honey, olive oil
and honey.
Kind of stuck out to me, and they seemed to be coming around at about the right time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like you were going through the whole thing and then starting again. So every few minutes I would hear olive oil and honey or goats and the horns kind of stuff. And I was like, Jesus Christ. Like really committed to the bit.
Yeah.
Which was intensely annoying but also really impressive.
And I did also interact with you. I think I would have felt like it was like harsh on you and detrimental to the scene if I had just done my monologue and nothing else once we got up to the interrogation.
Yeah.
So I would break from it to talk to you, and there were points of it where just by luck the point I got to was really relevant to what you were asking me.
Yeah.
There was a part where you were interrogating me about my sourdough skills, and I got to the olive oil and honey. It was land with wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil and honey. And as I got to that, you like hit me, and I sort of stumbled over it. And so you went, "Where'd you get your sourdough skills?" Whack, and I went, "Olive oil and honey."
Yeah.
And it's like it just fit. And there was definitely a couple of points where we'd been sort of arguing back and forth about your like godly mission and me like undermining it and all of that, and then I would pick up my monologue where I was, and I would get to like the wickedness will not release those who practice it bit. Yeah. And I would like make direct eye contact with you.
Yeah.
There was a part where you sort of tried like more of a pleading tactic and were like, think about the love we have for each other, Chastity. How could you betray me like this? Just be honest with me and I will understand. And I launched into the I am not commanding you, but I want to test the sincerity of your love bit, and it was just
really annoying.
Yeah. And then there was piss.
But before we get onto that, one of the really cool things was after we'd finished, obviously some people came up to us and were talking to us about it. But somebody had come up to us, and they are one of those people that I describe as proper people.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to encourage me to embrace the fact that we host a award-winning podcast and people recognize us and they know who we are and stuff like that. And I go, yeah, but there are proper people here. I'm not proper people. But one of them is someone who I know does some quite intense things, and they were watching the scene, and they were saying afterwards, like, we were watching the scene, it was really good. And then I saw you pick up the bottle of water, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to do waterboarding. Oh my God. They're really excited for it.
Yeah.
Because that's something that they do, and they do some really quite intense stuff as well. And I was like, that's actually really cool. You are someone who is a proper person on the scene who does proper things. And you're like saying something that I've done. You were excited to see it. Yeah.
There was a lot of moments in the interrogation where the crowd reaction just made it so cool. Yeah. Like when you picked up the water, there was a big sort of ooh from around the crowd, because they were like, we know where this is going.
Yeah.
All of their stuff, which is coming up with the piss, got some great crowd reactions. And a lot of my defiant moments, a lot of the moments where I would sort of refuse to respond to your questioning and do my monologue, people seem to enjoy that.
Yeah.
There was one point where I was doing my monologue and you were clearly getting very sick of it, and you were like, you are blaspheming, you are praying to your pagan god. And I was like, heretic, do you not recognize the Bible? And things like that. And people were like, ooh.
Yeah. Spicy.
Yeah.
Talking of spicy, let's talk about piss.
Yes.
So I had such a grand plan for this, and it didn't quite come off, but I had bought 2 identical water bottles. I had filled one with actual water and one with my first dehydrated pee of the day. So there was quite a lot of it because it was my first pee of the day, literally the first pee of the morning after I'd woken up. But it was quite dark and it had a bit of a head on it.
Yeah, it was vile.
And I did that at 7 a.m. and we started the scene at just before 11. And I reckon that was probably about 11:45-ish. So nearly 5 hours.
Yeah, and a good chunk of that it being in a hot tent and then in the hot sun. Yeah, it was not pleasant.
It was deeply unpleasant. But I made you drink it. Well, I put it into your mouth. I didn't make you drink it.
You tried unsuccessfully to make Chastity drink the piss.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us what happened?
Yeah, so the first amount of it that was squirted into my mouth, I just choked on it because it was awful. I quite like a little bit of piss play, but that was a bad piss. So I just sort of choked on it and retched and spluttered it all over myself and splashed a little bit on you unintentionally in the process, and thought, So then you slapped me around a bit, dumped some over my head, generally were not pleased that I had not swallowed the piss, announced to the crowd that I was rejecting your generous gift of water, and then forced the bottle back into my mouth. Yeah. And so that time I very deliberately did not fight you on it and just took it but didn't swallow. Yeah. Got a mouthful of it and then just deliberately splattered it all out as widely as I could. Yeah. Got your face, got your shirt, and then you tried again and I tried to jet it and I missed your face with the jet, but I got like all down like the lower half of your shirt and pants. Yeah. So you were just basically covered in piss. Yes. And so was I, but it was like, now you're down to my level.
Yes. And the crowd enjoyed that. I enjoyed it marginally less.
Yeah, the crowd loved it and Chastity loved it.
Yeah. But I think I did that a couple of times. I didn't use up the whole bottle in one go.
No, you came back to it a few times.
I came back to it a couple of times, including just dumping the whatever was left in the bottle over your head.
Yeah. And same with the waterboarding. That came up, 2 or 3 times. You would waterboard me a bit, dump piss all over me, beat me, like kind of on a cycle for a while.
Yeah.
Until you ran out of piss and water.
Yeah. Yeah. But one of my ideas was, if there was going to be relative periods of calm, was I wanted water bottles that were completely opaque.
Yeah.
So that I could, what I planned to do was drink from one, and then put it back behind the bag with all of our stuff, and then pick the other one up and offer it to you. Yeah. As a drink, and then when you drank it, you would realise that it was pee.
Yeah, I've got to be honest. Even if you'd had opaque water bottles, I don't think I would have trusted you for a second.
Right.
Because I know how you think. Yeah. It would have also been hilarious if you'd done that and got the bottles mixed up and had a big swig of your own piss.
Yeah. I was very conscious of which one was which. And at one point, and what broke it for me was a couple of bits where I felt like I was starting to lose the thread. Not in control, but starting to lose the thread a little bit. And I was like worried that I am going to pick up the wrong one here. So I put the water bottle above your head.
Yeah.
So I knew where it was.
Yeah. So you didn't end up drinking piss by mistake.
So I didn't end up accidentally drinking piss.
Yeah.
But I think part of the problem was that they weren't completely opaque. You could kind of see through them, so you could see the colour of them. And afterwards, one of our pals suggested you could have put Lucozade in the other one.
And then it would have been a more close colour, yeah.
It would have been a closer match. And I was like, that would have been a good idea if I wasn't having an existential crisis while I was preparing for this. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, but it was still great. It was still deeply unpleasant. I made sure it was unpleasant for both of us, but it was still unpleasant for me too.
Yes. Yeah. And all while this is going on, the crowd are being brilliant.
Yeah, they were brilliant throughout.
Lots of oohs and ahs, lots of, like, in the quieter moments where I wasn't saying anything or we weren't saying anything or whatever, they were booing and jeering and stuff like that, or throwing out more accusations or words of encouragement as well. Yeah. Kay, also from Insert Here Kink, was just absolutely brilliant all the way through.
Absolutely out for my blood.
Properly
terrifying.
Got into it.
Just constantly, all I could hear was Kay going, "Drown her! Kill her! Torture her! Burn the witch!" It's like, all right.
Yeah. And they're so nice.
Yeah.
They're such a lovely person. But yeah, they were absolutely out for your out for your blood. And they came up with a brilliant accusation as well about your tattoo.
Oh my god, I'd almost forgotten that. Yeah, so at one point, possibly while you were having one of your moments where you slightly lost the thread and run out of stuff to say to me for a second,
Yeah.
Kay from the audience pipes up, look at the tattoo on her leg. Is that Cthulhu?
Yeah.
It is not. I have got a tattoo of a bright orange octopus on my thigh. But Mix obviously seized on this and started whacking it with something, and shouting in my face, if this was not your god, you would not mind me hitting it. It's like, you're hitting me with a fucking rubber paddle. Yes, I fucking would.
Yeah.
But then you got in my face and said, is this your god? And I said, no, it is an octopus. Which cracked everyone up.
Yes. And there was lots of that all the way through.
Yeah.
So once again, another shout out to the people who came with us and stuck with us and watched it, because they really made a massive difference to it. And despite all of my earlier protestations, actually made it it would have been an amazing scene anyway. But like, just the cherry on the cake, the icing on the cake, was having them.
I fully agree. I think it was really good for both of our headspace. It kept the sort of the tone of the scene moving along. It kept us both with plenty of things to say. It was really good.
Yeah. Because I think if I am being a little bit self-critical, I did feel like I didn't retain a lot of the questioning. My perception is there was less questioning of you than I perhaps would have liked there to be.
I can understand that, but I also don't think it was necessary. Like, we both knew, as our characters, what I needed to do to make the torture stop.
Yeah.
Chastity has been engaged to Jeffiniah for some time and knows what his job is and knows that he will torture witches until they confess. You had already made it very clear to me from the start, if you don't confess, I'm going to torture you until you do.
Yeah.
So you didn't need to really be asking again and again, and I don't think that would have made me more likely to answer.
Yeah.
I think just doing what you were doing and throwing the accusations at me and trying to sort of verbally and physically tear me down was the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
Next, you turned me around, put my hands behind my back, and slapped me in the stomach, Mix. As we've talked about from your research.
From my wholesome research.
I was shocked at how badly that bruised. Like, I was really impressed. I think it's gone now, but I had like a black handprint on my tummy for a couple of days. It was
yeah. I'm not gonna lie, I really enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that was, I enjoyed the whole thing. I enjoy hitting you with the various whips and stuff, but there was just something really quite visceral about just fully slapping you on the stomach, and the noise that it made, both the actual impact on your skin and the noise that it got out of you.
Yeah.
Which was just this kind of unholy scream.
I would like to do that again, Mix. It was bad, but I want to do it again.
Yeah, I thought you might.
That's probably at events, not in the house one, though, because it really does make me shriek.
But yeah, I there's just something about it that kind of, it's a really intimate way of hurting you.
It's really personal violence. I like a lot of punching and slapping and kicking for that reason, because it feels a lot more personal than using a toy.
Yeah. Much closer. Have to be much closer to you. Physical contact, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that really worked for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I am having a good time doing this.
And a lot of face slapping as well. Earlier in the scene as well, there was a lot of face slapping all the way through, but especially once you got me turned around, and you were whacking the front of my thighs with a paddle, the horrible rubber tire paddle that we call the evil one.
Yeah.
You were slapping me in the stomach, and you did a lot of face slapping then, with me stood up and you sort of holding my jaw right in my face and then slapping me over and over and over again, and like holding me by the hair and slapping me.
Yeah.
Again, that really personal violence. Like, you could really feel how betrayed Jeffiniah was feeling by Chastity and how much he wanted to hurt her personally. Yeah. Not just to get a confession, but because he was hurting as well. It was like, character stuff. It was good. It's good.
Yes, it was. And like a lot as well. Like when we do face slapping, it's kind of usually a few. Yeah. And I usually kind of string a few together. But it was quite a long sequence of just constantly slapping you on the cheek.
Yeah, just holding my head still so I couldn't go anywhere and just battering my face for ages.
Yeah.
Like my entire face was bright red on both sides by the time it was done.
Yeah.
And then I got sunburned, so it was really hard to tell which was which, but I think some of the redness from the slapping probably stayed as well.
Yeah.
Hard to be sure, because I kept falling asleep in the sun that day.
Yes. Yeah. When was it that because I slapped you on your other, because I usually slap you on your left cheek.
Yeah.
So with my right hand. But you did something, and I slapped you across your other cheek as well.
Yeah, I think it was when I accused you of being a sex pervert, Mix.
Yes.
During that part, I called Jeffiniah out for being a sexual sadist and getting off on torturing women. And you shouted something about, I don't torture women, I torture witches.
Yeah.
And slapped me really hard across the other side of the face.
Yeah. And that got an ooh from the crowd as well.
Yeah.
And I was a bit curious about that. But maybe it was because it was less controlled than the other ones, because I didn't have a hold of your face when normally I would grab a hold of you and to keep your head still.
Yeah.
But it was a more spontaneous one with my other hand as well.
Yeah. So, unexpected. Surprising.
Yeah. So that was quite cool.
Yeah. And then you just continued hitting me with the black and orange whip until I confessed.
Yes. Basically. So you made your revelations.
Yes, all the way through. I can't remember the exact order that things happened, but I revealed that my mother was a witch. I finally admitted that was true, but still said I wasn't.
Yeah.
I revealed you at one point demanded that I confess my sins, and I was like, my sins, I will confess my sins. I got tattoos in my youth. I got piercings. I drank to excess. I disrespected my mother and father. I am not proud of these things, nor am I ashamed to say that I have sinned, because I am human.
Yes.
It was very dramatic, but did me no good. I just got beaten for being a sinner then.
Yes.
And you also asked the crowd if any of them would ever disrespect their parents, and everyone went, oh no.
Oh.
Which I find unbelievable. And then later I admitted to not being a virgin, and again got a big ooh from the crowd of that. Everyone was very judgmental about Chastity's sexual history.
Yeah. As they should. As they should. So, yes, as you say, the beatings continued. And then you confessed.
Yeah.
And we had agreed a very specific thing, hadn't we? Of when you are ready to actually confess, you would say the words, I confess.
Yeah.
And then I would stop.
Yes.
And give you your moment.
And you did, and my confession was extremely dramatic.
It really was. It was so good as well. And you there was some Sumerian in it.
There was at the very end, Mix. So because it wasn't something I'd memorized, I didn't script the confession. I don't remember it exactly word for word.
Yeah.
But I essentially went through my whole monologue I'd been doing, but in my own words, explaining what I'd actually been saying all along. So I said, you follow a false god with a book of lies, but I have signed my name in her book of truth. I worship that which you call the devil. I said something about your god demands sacrifices of animals and children. My god asks only sacrifice of the self. Then I went into saying your god destroys and creates on a whim, but my god knows that creation and destruction are all one and the same. I talked about how your god tells people to abstain from pleasures of the flesh and mine encourages you to embrace them. I remember saying your god is the one who threw you out of Eden, my god is the sacred serpent who set us free.
Yeah.
And my god knows that to ascend and discover sacred and hidden knowledge, you must first fall. Very dramatic stuff.
Yeah.
And finished off by saying, I know that I cannot free you from the wickedness you practice, but I hope by shaking your faith in our love, I can plant a seed that allows you freedom from your god. You could be so much more than this sniveling servant to an infant god.
Yes. Such a dramatic thing to say.
And then I yelled out, Inin Sagura Ningua Niza Zuzu Igue Inana Zakam, which means, Lady of largest heart, with your strength, my lady, teeth could cut flint. Inanna, this is yours.
Yeah. And then you spat in my face.
I did. Again.
Good grief.
It is Chastity's signature move.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've written some smut about Jeffiniah and Chastity as well. And she spits in his face in that and all.
Yes, she does. And then that was the end of that part of the scene.
Yes.
So about an hour and 20 minutes, we think.
Yeah, from the beginning to the confession was about an hour and 20, so we reckon probably just over an hour of the actual torture.
Yeah.
But to be fair, there was torture throughout because you were beating me from the first minute.
Yes.
But the proper torture.
Yes. And then we went off script a little bit.
Yes.
Because the plan was, as soon as you confessed, take you back down to the hub and brand you. But I asked the crowd to depart so that we could have a moment before we went back down. I think partly because I think we both expected you to last a little bit longer.
Yeah, and I had immediately after the confession apologized to everyone for it being so short.
Yeah.
I was really self-conscious about the fact that it had been short, and I felt like I'd been a bit of a wuss. And in hindsight, no, I don't, because your approach to it was so different from the first interrogation. It makes sense that I would find it a lot more intense, but at the time I was like, we've barely been up here 5 minutes. It felt a lot shorter in my head as well.
Yeah.
So I was quite apologetic, because I think you wanted to give me some reassurance.
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think I was thinking, oh crikey, they that was really short. They confessed really quickly, but because time wasn't real, I had no idea how time had passed. So that part of it felt really, really quick because it just so it was important. I felt like it was important to reassure you and check in and do all of that kind of stuff. But we had a couple of small safety incidents as well.
Yeah.
You had got a cramp at one point, so I needed to let you stand up to deal with that.
Which we did entirely in character as well.
Yeah.
I said, Jeffiniah, I have a cramp. I didn't feel like it warranted using your real name to get your attention. I thought like just alerting you to an issue would be enough.
Yeah.
Because if you'd continued hitting me, then nothing dangerous was going to happen. It was just going to suck.
Yeah.
So I decided to put the ball in your court for that. And then you made a big announcement to the crowd like, we will show the witch some mercy. We are Christians after all, and you let me stand up and stretch for a few seconds before you kept hitting me, which was very, very well done in character.
And then I misaimed slightly.
Yes.
You were a moving target.
I was very wriggly.
But I misaimed slightly, and I caught the side of your boob, which is incredibly challenging for you.
Yeah.
And I was worried that I had hit your nipple.
Yeah.
Which would have been a stop to the scene.
More than likely, yeah, that's a hard limit, so it would have been very hard for me to continue after that if you had.
Yeah, so that was an actual stop.
Yeah.
We actually paused, and we kind of, well, I don't know what your perception of this is, but I spoke to you as S.
Yeah, and I spoke to you as kirizal then as well, because you directly asked if I was okay to continue. Yeah. Obviously, Chastity would have been like, no, release me.
Yeah. Stop, please.
So as kirizal, I wanted to make it clear I wanted to continue, because again, that wouldn't have felt like a win to me.
Yeah.
If we'd stopped because I was upset about you hitting me in the boob.
Yeah.
That's not a win. That's the scene hasn't been completed. So I really wanted to continue, even though I was pretty close to breaking point by then. It was like, no, I'm going ahead with this.
Yeah. So we had a little bit of check-in. Obviously, I released you from your cuffs, and we had a little bit of a cuddle, and then we went back down to the hub, and we burned the witch.
We burned the witch.
We branded witch into your thigh with a cautery pen, which was really cool to do. I think we had a couple of people.
Yeah, I think a lot of the crowd had just fully dispersed by then, but a few people sort of re-emerged to watch that, and then more people came to visit us afterwards to check in and say how much they'd enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. But you didn't feel it?
No, I was absolutely flying by that point from all the endorphins.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else you'd been doing to me, it was much lower level of pain anyway, and then because of all of the chemicals in my brain from being beaten for an hour plus, I literally didn't feel it at all. It was like the lightest of pressure at most. And it was just really nice. It was really cool because for Chastity, obviously that was like a humiliation and a punishment and stuff, but we'd already slipped out of character, and for me it was like, this is the reward that I have for completing this scene. We'd agreed that I was going to get the brand no matter what. There was sort of 3 possible endings to the scene. So I suppose I wouldn't have got the brand no matter what, but there were 3 possible endings to the scene, and 2 of them would have resulted in me getting branded. One was obviously that I confessed to being a witch, whether I actually was or not. If I'd been playing it as innocent, I would have given a sort of broken confession of, I'll say anything you want, I just want this to be done. So if I confessed, I got burned as a witch. There was a version where you just had enough of it and wanted to wrap things up, and it said, I don't want to listen to your lies anymore, I am declaring you guilty. And then I got burned as a witch. And you also had the option in reserve of if you wanted a hard stop and you didn't want to proceed with the branding, where you could, in character, say, I'm sorry, Chastity, I believe you, I falsely accused you, I'm not myself, and released me and kind of called it there, which was the least likely option, but it was there in reserve. So I knew that more than likely I was getting branded no matter what, but it just felt like a really nice treat at the end of the scene. It's like, this is the souvenir now.
I think because we'd had that break in between, we didn't kind of go back into characters to do the branding. It felt like this was the payoff for the really cool thing that we did.
Yeah, I agree. And then it was straight into aftercare mode.
Yeah, which was basically you lying on a blanket with Bevo for 5 hours.
Yeah, for anyone unfamiliar, Bevo is my 3 foot tall cow stuffy who likes to come camping with us.
Yes.
And on many trips, actually. He likes to be really involved in things, but he loves camping.
Yes.
He frequently talks about the horrors he has seen while camping, which compare to nothing else he has seen in his life.
Yes.
But he loves it.
He does. He does.
So he is my aftercare buddy for camping and for intense scenes in general. Bevo is generally the aftercare assistant. If you've gone to fetch me something, you know that a cuddle with Bevo will keep me going until you get back.
Yeah.
And I had quite a lot of drop, but not... It wasn't an unexpected drop or like a negative feeling drop. It was just inevitably, if you do something that intense, you're going to kind of crash afterwards. Like I said, I was flying high on endorphins at the end of it, and I'd had all of these dramatic moments, and I'd been another person, and I'd been in loads of pain and all of this, and then suddenly I was kirizal again, and I was sore and achy and tired, and all I wanted to do was lie on the ground. I had a little bit of a cry the few times I had to move, like if I went to the toilet and when I went for a shower. It was just so much, and I just sort of cried. But it didn't ever feel like a bad reaction or like, oh, I wish this wasn't happening, it wasn't worth it. It was like, yeah, if you do something that intense, you're going to feel it afterwards.
Yeah.
And luckily you didn't get much in the way of drop. You were tired, you were a bit achy, but you were in a position where you were able to take care of me, and I think probably taking care of me helped prevent you dropping as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think we've talked about that before, haven't we? It seems like we never both get significant drop at the same time.
Yeah.
I think there's been a few times when we've both felt a little bit of drop following a scene. But like when you have a really big drop, I seem to be okay.
Yeah.
And then vice versa. And it's almost like that, like you say, that kind of, okay, so now I need to take care of kirizal. So I'm okay. Because that's my job.
I think there's an element of that. If one of us drops really hard first, the other one is doing so much aftercare, that sort of fixes them as well.
Yeah.
But I think there's an element as well where we drop from different things. I drop hardest from physically intense play, and you drop hardest from psychologically intense play.
Yeah.
So it's quite rare that a scene is going to be equally intense for both of those.
Yeah, true.
And it's very rare that I would drop from psychological play at all, or if I do, it's either quite mild or it's a really delayed reaction, where for you that'll hit straight after, so I can take care of you in that moment, because my drop either isn't going to be there or it hasn't hit yet.
Yeah.
Where physical stuff, generally, apart from a little bit of sadist's elbow, you're fine.
Yeah.
So that's where you can really take care of me, because I got really cold. Like, this was hot, sunny day, I was lying in full sun, I got sunburned, but I was freezing cold, and I ended up putting on a big fuzzy tracksuit thing because I was so cold.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really eat much that day. We'd planned specific, like, aftercare food. We'd got some really nice camping meals, including a sticky toffee pudding in a pouch. And I ended up eating that the next day because I just didn't have an appetite. Again, I think because of all the adrenaline and stuff, I just got a bit, like, shaky and sick.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a really nice day, despite feeling, you know, a little ropey. People kept coming over to chat to us and tell us how good the scene was, and that was actually really good for me, because I had that thing of getting in my head and thinking I should have held out longer, I was a wuss about it, anyone else would have lasted longer than me, like ridiculous stuff, because it was a really intense scene and I lasted an hour and 20 minutes. Because I'd had in my head I'd probably last at least 3 hours. I was beating myself up about it, and then people kept coming over and being like, I do not know how you handled that, I don't know how you took it, I couldn't have taken that. And it was like, okay, actually maybe I was a bit of a badass, it's fine.
Yeah, you were absolutely completely badass at that. It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that you took what you took, and just kept going with it. It was because I was the one hitting you. I knew how hard I was hitting you. Like not far off full force with pretty much everything that I was hitting you with. So.
It's definitely the most physically intense scene we've ever done. It's the most physically intense in the moment, even setting aside sort of the psychological elements of it and how deep into my character I got, which heightened the level of distress because Chastity was so upset about it all. Even if you just isolated the stuff you physically did to me in that scene, it's far more than I've ever taken in a scene before. The closest to it would be the unhinged whipping that we did last year, where you were hitting me full force with one of those toys 65 times. But that scene probably didn't last more than 5 minutes. I didn't have to take it for that long. This one, it was maybe a little bit less relentless. You know, you weren't hitting me quite as fast as you were in that scene. But not far off the intensity and the speed for a much longer period of time. So I'm really proud of that, and it's also the most physical pain I've been in after a scene as well, where everything, I felt like I'd been hit by a car. I still do.
Yeah.
I've got bruises on my thighs that are literally black, and we are recording this on the Tuesday following, so 5 days.
Yeah.
And the bruises are still getting darker, not lighter.
Yeah.
And I don't bruise, so that is cool as fuck. Not obviously the point of the scene, but it's always nice to have something to poke at afterwards. You very much enjoyed poking my bruises for the next few days.
Yes, I did. Yeah, very much enjoyed giving them a good poke, which is not something we get to do often.
No, I don't often have any bruises to poke.
No. So no, it was a really nice afternoon. We just kind of found a spot with a blanket and laid there, ate some snacks, talked to some pals.
Yep.
You got waterboarded again by the shower.
Yes. Yeah, there were 2 different shower blocks there, and the showers that I normally go in were full. So I went in the other shower block, which I had been warned were very aggressive, but I hadn't realised quite how aggressive. Turned on the shower, and it turned out to be freezing cold and nearly horizontal with really high water pressure, and it just blasted me full force in the face, which after you've just been waterboarded is the last thing you want.
Yeah.
That might have been part of why I cried in the shower.
Yeah, definitely was.
But it got the piss out of my hair, and my hair was so soft afterwards. Like, it's going to sound really scruffy, because I was dropping and really tired. I didn't shampoo my hair, I just rinsed it really thoroughly. I made sure I definitely rinsed it, a good few times and got everything out. But my hair went super soft and cuddly and shiny and stayed absolutely gorgeous all weekend without me having to do anything to it. So, piss, it's good for your hair, apparently.
Apparently so. Which is not what they say.
No, that scientifically it should be quite bad for your hair, but I've had this before. Anytime I get piss in my hair, it works really well.
Yeah.
If I rinse it out without shampooing, like, the effect is really good. So.
Well, there you go. You heard it here first.
Yep.
Hair care tips from Don't Scare the Newbies.
I wanted to ask you, like, because I feel like Chastity has not gone anywhere. Chastity is living rent-free in my head. I have a lot of thoughts about, like, Chastity's past, and if Chastity survived the witch trial, what her future looks like, because we haven't decided sort of in that universe whether the burning that we did was just symbolic and Chastity was actually burned to death, or whether that is what Chastity went through as she got a brand, and she might still be rattling around in that universe. So I'm thinking a lot about Chastity like she's a real person that I live with now. Do you have anything like that with Jeffiniah, or is he just back in his box mix?
I think for me he's more or less back in his box.
Yeah.
I think because I didn't think quite so much about Jeffiniah as you did about Chastity, like of necessity.
Yeah.
I think my character in that is relatively straightforward to kind of sketch out.
Yeah.
I probably could have done a little bit more, I suppose, but
you're right, it was necessity for me, where the more I knew about her, the more I could strategize, and the more defenses I had. So yeah.
I think the motivation of Jeffiniah is for me anyway relatively straightforward. So no, he's kind of back in his box a little bit. I guess I am curious about whether when we use those characters again, what they'll do.
Yeah.
Like, we've talked about whether or not we're going to do another scene with Jeffiniah and Chastity if we manage to get to camping next year. So I guess there's something to think about in terms of, so what's that been like for Jeffiniah in that intervening period?
Yeah. So you'd be excited to be him again, but he's not rattling around in your brain making loads of noise at the moment.
Yeah. Whereas I think you were much more invested in your character than I was, of necessity.
Yeah, I really like Chastity. I feel like I got to know her really well, especially during the interrogation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had a sex dream, well, a non-consensual sex dream about Jeffiniah and Chastity.
Yeah.
The night after we got back from camping, and then wrote smut about it, which I haven't shared anywhere other than in a secret place yet. But I may at some point, or I may write more of it, because I really enjoyed getting to inhabit her again.
Yeah.
Like, writing stuff in her point of view. And so in my version of the canon, Chastity was branded by Jeffiniah and then taken away to a prison for sentencing, where she may or may not be executed.
Yeah.
And I fantasized about, dreamed about, and wrote about a scene where Jeffiniah comes to visit her in prison and is considering helping her, but not in a way that will be beneficial to her in any way, like getting her out of prison and keeping her himself. And there's just this love-hate tension between them, where the feelings from both of them are still there, desire from both of them is still there, but also they fucking hate each other. All trust has been destroyed. Jeffiniah wants to just tear Chastity apart. Chastity is so angry with him at what he's done, but still wants to save him. And I love the fire between them, and I want to spend so much time with those characters. But I think that's the kind of brain that I have anyway. Like, I have a very sort of imaginative and very visual brain. I always talk about I'm always playing brain TV to entertain myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's just porn, but sometimes it is characters that I've like written about in the past and things like that. I like to just watch them go about their lives.
Yeah.
My brain TV is all Chastity and Jeffiniah right now. And I thought doing some writing earlier today might dial down the brain TV a little bit, but it hasn't now. I just want to write the next scene.
Right.
So, I don't know, maybe I'll, we've been inspired by Sunshine and Honeypot to do some roleplay. Maybe I'll be inspired by the episode we did with Ellie Sanders to write some dark romance.
Yeah.
Who knows? Because there's a whole fucking novel in those two. And we can roleplay every single scene to help me work it out.
Good grief. I don't think I could do that.
That's fair.
So yeah, that was our scene.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
It was the coolest shit we've ever done.
Yeah, it really was. It just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And really enjoyed it from start to finish. And so pleased that I didn't mope out of it at the last minute.
Me too. Like, partly selfishly because I had a great time, but also I'm just so proud of you for facing that, because I know how intimidating you find public play at all. Even just spanking me in a dungeon with 3 people watching, it makes you nervous.
Yeah.
And that was such a ridiculous, huge step to take to face that fear. And you did it so fucking well.
Yeah.
Like, I would have been proud of you even if you just sort of muddled through and mumbled a few accusations and then dragged me off to the woods.
Yeah.
I would have still been like, you still did the thing. That's awesome. But the fact that you didn't, you just fully embraced it and just became Jeffiniah in a second and were like almost unrecognizable from the person I know for nearly an hour and a half. It just absolutely mind-blowing. You did so good, and you gave me exactly the insane fantasy that I had a couple of months ago, and then some. Yeah. It was amazing.
It was pretty good, and you were just incredible. Like, you're exactly the same. Your commitment to the bit, the way that you really thought about Chastity, and the way that you kind of brought that to life, and then just suffered terribly, was absolutely brilliant. I am so proud of you for all of it.
Thank you.
It was really, really good. Where do we go now?
To finish off, Mix, I was going to ask if I could do my monologue.
Fine.
Yes, I've been annoying them with this ever since, when they're just trying to settle down at night, when they're in the middle of something else, just piping up with it. But usually I get interrupted after about 2 verses with a "shut up, shut up,"
or "shut your whore mouth, witch."
Yes.
Go for it.
All the words of my mouth are just, none of them is crooked or perverse. How can you say we are wise, for we have the law of the Lord, when actually the lying pen of the scribes has handled it falsely? Ask the former generation, find out what their ancestors learned. They have read from the book of the law of God, making it clear and giving the meaning so the people understood what was being read. Have them take a young bull with its grain offering of the finest flour mixed with olive oil. Then you are to take a second young bull as a sin offering. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron and said to them, "Pray to the Lord to take the frogs away from me and my people, and I will let your people go to offer sacrifices to the Lord." He placed the breastpiece on him, put the Urim and the Thummim in the breastpiece. Then he sent out a dove to see if the water had receded from the surface of the ground. So there was great joy in that city, a land with wheat and barley, vines and fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil and honey. When you have taken the city, set it on fire. Do as the Lord has commanded. See to it you have my orders. Will not the land tremble for this, and all who live in it mourn? The land will rise up like the Nile, it will be stirred up and sink like the river in Egypt. Again he stooped down and wrote on the ground, "Those who are in the realm of the flesh cannot please God, but food does not bring us near to God. We are no worse if we do not eat, and no better if we do." The people ate and were satisfied. Afterward the disciples picked up 8 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The second angel sounded his trumpet, and something like a huge mountain, all ablaze, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea turned into blood. The goat became very great, but at the height of its power the large horn was broken off, and in its place 4 prominent horns grew up towards the 4 winds of heaven. He said to me, "Son of man, dig into the wall." So I dug into the wall and saw a doorway there. I am not commanding you, but I want to test the sincerity of your love by comparing it with the earnestness of others. Just as they have done to me since I brought them up out of Egypt, forsaking me and serving other gods, so they are doing to you. Just as no one has power over the wind to contain it, so no one has power over the time of their death. Just as no one is discharged in time of war, so wickedness will not release those who practice it.
Amazing. Never speak of that again.
And I think that is us done.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Don't Scare the Newbies.
You can support us on Patreon for a whole extra episode every month, and head to kirizal.com for my blog and links to everywhere else you can follow me. See you next time.